We are back. Happy
Yes,
Monday,
we are.
y'all. Happy Monday. Happy Monday. It was an eventful Sunday.
It was.
But we are here. A lot to talk about, for sure. Shotty, how's the kingdom?
Good.
Kingdom's good?
I mean,
The people ask. They want to know if the kingdom is still in place.
2 Super Bowls in 3 years. Congratulations to the Eagles. First time that they got a Super Bowl. So
Second, they beat the Patriots in 2019. Jalen Hurts' first Super Bowl win.
Yeah. Happy for him and Saquon. AJ was cooking. Oh, my God.
Yeah. Shout out to Jalen, man. Shout out to him. Obviously, Saquon, coming over from a place here in New York to Philadelphia to see him win like that is dope. It was a dominating performance, man. It was a dominating performance.
Yeah, I was shocked.
That's what followed the blueprint. If they literally followed what Tampa did versus
For sure.
a few years ago, where it's just like have that front four that can dominate, and the rest you can figure out.
With no blitzing is crazy, though.
No blitz is crazy. Yeah, and this does. That's why I said that there's no question about the greatness of Patrick Mahomes. He's still the best player in the NFL. Yeah. There's no denying that. The fact that he's playing in the Super Bowl 5 out of 6 years is incredible. And like he said last night, they will be back. They will be
back. Next year. Now, y'all, that boy got a chip on the shoulder. Whoo, this offseason.
Yeah.
Y'all better get ready.
Stop questioning Jalen Hurts, man. Stop questioning that guy, man. He's played in 2 Super Bowls and he's performed at a high level, man. Shout out to him. Shout
Kelsey, go back to the Bronx. High taper fade. Could that little porno haircut you had with that
the
suit?
fit looked crazy. That was
over with.
He went John Travolta on the fit. Now it looked crazy.
Come on, my boy. You got 1 or 2 more seasons left for Taylor Lee. You get it. You better get it. When your baby get booed and you ain't playing well, Lucian gonna call her. Hey, get rid of it. Hey, but chill out.
Shout out to you, Eagles fans. I could support them winning, but they fans be crazy, man.
Shout out to my guy Drew.
Shout out to you, Eagles fan.
For sure, he from Philly. Yeah.
Yeah, shout out to y'all.
Yeah.
Salute. So yeah, a lot going on in the world.
Yes.
Market Mondays. We got a lot to talk about. We're gonna be this blackout Wednesday, 10 o'clock. Tune in.
Yes.
10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time on Wednesday. Blackout. We back. Thursday at 6 o'clock. We got owner of Say Less, Dara. Say Less is a restaurant in New York. And actually it's perfect timing too, because they always do the activation for All-Star Weekend. All-Star Weekend, we will be out there in the Bay Area. San Francisco. We're gonna be out there. Holla. We got the G League partnership. Shout out to the G League. We going back to defend our crown. So year 2. We have a team. We have a team in the G League All-Star game.
Yes.
So, tap in.
Please tap in. Say it again.
Yeah, are y'all broadcasting?
I think so.
Okay. I think so. You might see us. That's a fact.
It's a fact. Tap into that.
Broadcasting it. So shout out to the G League. Good folks over there, and then everybody at All-Star. And you deserve to be rich. Don't forget, remember. New York Times book. For sure. That's a fact. Yeah. So get your copy of You Deserve to Be Rich. It's the book that has changed the game. In many ways. I sent some to some inmates on the inside. So they said it's been circulating in the jails. It's becoming very popular on the inside. So
fire.
It's one of these things. It's spreading like wildfire. So definitely get a copy, read it, and then implement it. You Deserve to Be Rich. Out right now, on all platforms.
I saw your story too.
yeah, that was crazy. So I was taking out the garbage this morning, no joke, and this woman rolls up on me, rolls the window down. I was like, "Amazing book," and I'm looking at her like, "Huh?" She was like, "Oh, I work for Penguin Publishing." She was like, "I'm part of the sales team." She was like, "I opened the book and looked, and I said, that's my neighbor. That's my neighbor." So shout out to everybody. Shout out to the entire publishing team. The entire rollout, everybody that made this possible. New York Times bestseller is not something to sneeze at. People can write books their entire lives and never reach that list. To do it out the gate is incredible. This is just the first one, man. So we appreciate all the love and support. Keep copping it and make this the new blueprint for how we build wealth in our community, in all communities, really.
For sure. Carnegie Hall, get your tickets to that. February 27th, we back Carnegie Hall. Robert Smith, CEO of Louis Vuitton, North America. We got the legendary Rakim performing with a live orchestra. It's going to be a night to remember. So go to our Instagram. All the information is there. But get your tickets to Carnegie Hall. February 27th, one night only, New York City. Dress to impress.
That's a fact. Market Mondays fans, February 27th. Y'all know what day that is, man. That is the boy birthday. So make sure.
You going to do a Saquon, perform, and then after party kill?
Yo, he went crazy.
So shout out to Saquon. And happy birthday to my brother Taylor.
Yeah, Chuck, what up? Happy birthday, boy.
Birthday's today, man. So Aquarius season is in full effect.
Yeah. Shout out to Chuck, man. Shout out to B. So all those mini movies that you've seen come from Your Legion, man. Our boy Brandon put that together. I know his birthday was Friday. Happy birthday to Beezus.
Oh, happy birthday, my guy. Yeah.
And Fee, happy birthday to Felicia. Her birthday tomorrow. All our February babies. Shout out to y'all. We love y'all. Home team first. Y'all know this. We do this.
Yeah, for sure. So happy birthday to my nephew. His birthday's on Saturday also.
Which one, Pooh?
Yeah.
Lamar. Happy birthday, my boy.
Ian, any announcements?
Happy birthday to my brother AJ Moye. Let's keep the birthday going. And my guy Murder Beats. Yeah. Congrats to Drew for his win. I'll tell my guy, give him a shout out if they won, and they won in dominant fashion. If you want to get rich from investing into the market, go to ianinvest.com. Stock Club call will be tonight after Market Mondays. Over 120 different prices of where to get in, where to get out. If I made you money, please put yes in chat. And more to come. Shout out to my Red Panda Sports family, where we turn players into owners one game at a time. If you're a player or agent and want to get rich from investing in the market, contact me. I will see y'all on the 27th, and some other dates and some other announcements are coming.
Soon reach.
Chill. Shout out to my Red Panda family. Love y'all. Let's run it up. And congrats to Saquon and AJ and Jalen. I'm happy. And Agent Nicole, we got interviewed. So
shout out to them. I'm glad you said that. Shout out to Nicole, who is a super agent. Shout out to the Clutch Sports team. Nicole Lynn is the head over there, and she got Jalen his a deal, which at the time was the highest contract for a quarterback in NFL history. So look at that, man. Hard work and dedication. Shout out to Nicole. All right, y'all know how this works, man. Do your own research. Our content is intended to be used and must be used for informational purposes only. It's very important to do your own analysis before making any investment based on your own personal circumstances. You should take independent financial advice from a professional in connection with, or independently research and verify any information that you find on our show and wish to rely upon for the purpose of making an investment decision or otherwise. Please continue to do the research, share the research, show love to where you got the research from. Let's build community. Let's build wealth. Let's build our brokerage accounts together, y'all. Love is love.
Send some love to my boy Rashad. We getting him next year, y'all. I'm gonna jump on the bandwagon. Who we need to get in off season?
Wait, who we? You a Chiefs fan now?
No, but I do support Patty.
Nah, Pat, I respect greatness, man. I'm never gonna say he's not great.
Yeah.
So we gotta start with a company that we didn't talk about last week. Palantir.
There you go.
Palantir has been on a rampage over the last 18 months. Great earnings, went up like $20 after that earnings report that it had. And a lot of people have been asking about our thoughts on Palantir. It's 52-week high almost currently. A company that went from $20 to $116 in 1 year. So how long can this last? And is Palantir a company that you missed the boat on, or is it still some room?
No, I think it's still room to grow. It's Black History Month, so we gotta send some praise to Alex
Corp.
Like CEO. Doesn't get enough credit probably because of the NVIDIA boom, and that's the only reason why I wasn't the biggest on it. But you can't argue with the production. We've talked about it a couple months ago. There's a few people at Market Mondays at the Mastermind who showed me the portfolio when they got in on a price that I called, but it has a lot more room to run. I think the AI and defense space is a space that's going to grow. over the next 8 to 10 years for sure. They are the leader as of now. I think when Anduril goes public, eventually they will uproot Palantir as being number one. But for right now, they are the king of the hill. You can't argue with the returns. Like you said, they went from $20 and currently at 114. There's more room to go. Wait for a pullback. If we get anywhere in the, I don't know, let's say 104 range, sub 100 range, I love it. And if you go to eninvest.com, I'll give you the prices of where to invest in Palantir, 3 different prices. But it's a solid company. They're here to stay. It's not a fly-by-night company at all.
Yeah, they're definitely here to stay. We when we talked about defense, it's like a new genre, right?
Yeah,
almost like
for
defense
sure.
tech. And so we spoke about this when we came back from Davos. We told y'all the company that
Definitely did. Yep.
We sat inside of Palantir and we said, look, what they're about to do hasn't been done, and maybe we should be worried. But they're in a space where most people don't talk about. So yeah, defense tech is a thing, but they have a software lead, right? So like, I know you don't like talking about Salesforce, but when we talk about AI and software,
Yeah.
if you look at how Salesforce has performed over the past year, it's nothing to be sneezed at. Palantir obviously has performed a lot better, but those two are leading in the AI software department, right? So we talk about connectivity, we talk about power, we talk about energy, we talk about servers and cooling, but like the software space is a space too. That's why I call it an AI revolution, because inside it, there's going to be a lot of subcategories and sectors that are going to thrive. Right now, Palantir has taken a lead in software. Salesforce is right in that mix. And it's not going anywhere, right? If we're talking about making sure that we're protected, as if AI is going to continue to be the story, the number one thing we talked about, cybersecurity. This is part of it. The thing is with Palantir is number one, and we spoke about this last week. I think you guys talked about it on Blackout, is like government contracting.
Yeah.
Like we're looking at where money's coming from, how these companies making so much money, how they're growing so fast. Government contracting is one of those things that Palantir kind of relies on, and has done a great job. And so the way that we're going to defend ourselves anymore, like I said, it won't be as much tanks and arms.
And boots on,
It won't be. I mean, you're going to have boots on ground, but defense tech is going to be the way. And Palantir has the software right now in the lead. So yeah, definitely a company that has some more room to grow.
Lesson of the week: better to listen than criticize. The same time when they sold their soul going to Davos, you could have turned 20 grand into 100 grand. Not listen. They literally came and reported. Other channels didn't do that. Literally came from down off the mountain and told you, yo, this next. They went to the economic forum in Davos and they did a blood ritual. Your account's in the red, my boy. You should have listened when it came back and told you. Like, what else do you want?
The Illuminati came first.
Yeah. It's all cool to have the conjecture online, but then when you get to the end of the year and them gains ain't gaining how they should have, listen.
Yeah. Sometimes being on the ground, you get to put your eyes on the things, right? So companies you weren't even thinking about, right? All these companies that we're talking about, we saw them. They had activations there. So if we weren't thinking about them, automatically it's like, now I have to pay attention. They're showing up in these places where the most influential people in the world are meeting in terms of capital. There's a reason they're here. There's a reason here. So yeah, it's one of those things.
And it's set the stage. Yep.
Well, speaking of that, so Business Insider put a report out yesterday. I don't know if anybody saw it, but it said why the S&P 500 is due for 5 years of dismal returns ahead. And it was pretty much saying it was basing off of historical trends that have happened. Pretty much saying that it's too concentrated amongst the Magnificent Seven. And when we've seen this level of concentration at the top before, 1929 and 1999, it was followed by subpar performances from the S&P 500 and better performances from like middle stocks, like
Russell
30 to like 70 on market cap, as opposed to the top 10 market cap. So it was saying, based off of historical data and a high concentration, that Magnificent Seven is due for a fall, and that in return that would negatively impact the S&P 500. And this is something that even before at the last year, I think one of these firms had put out saying that we're going to see 3% a year for S&P 500.
Yeah.
They have reported that the S&P 500 was going to have like low growth for the next 10 years, actually. So the S&P 500, is this something to be concerned about if you're invested in the S&P 500?
Yeah, and as a person who loves hyper concentration, even the strategy I gave up for free to Tech 2 Index is hyper concentration. That is great when you see an incumbent leader about to come in and take over. You don't want to invest in that at the top. But what I do know, like going back to stats, if you miss the 10 biggest days investing into the market, you could lose half of your gains for that year or decade. So stay invested. The S&P is going to recalibrate. They're going to take out the companies that are underperforming. The difference between 99 and now, though, there's a lot of pressure on these companies to innovate because the country literally needs it. Like I keep saying, I'm invested into the companies that move the GDP. Microsoft, let's take Palantir, NVIDIA, Oracle. They're building real infrastructure that matters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's not just cute software apps anymore and chat bots and stuff. They're building things that we really need. I think we're going to see a wave, even in Lilly. We're going to see companies innovate more into things that we actually need, opposed to just connectivity, which was the last decade. But hyper concentration is only good if you're there early. If you got there too late, it isn't the best strategy, but hold for the long term, no matter what.
Yeah, it brings up the thought of like, 99, we're talking a .com bubble. And I know the word AI bubble is kind of cliche, but it's tough, right? If this bubble pops, you're talking about the entire economy. We're not just talking about semiconductors. You're talking about energy. You're talking about every Mac 7. You're talking about, AI software. We just talked about defense tech. All those industries will be affected. And so will it have a pullback? Will it have a correction? For sure.
For sure.
We'll have a correction. But that's part of it. I mean, we've seen that in 2022. We saw a correction, and we saw what was on the other side of that, right? And it was interesting. We were just listening to a commentation. They were like, "Look, never let people trick you out of your position."
Never.
Right. So sometimes these articles get over sensationalized to trick people out of their positions, and so that you never invest. And so if you keep that mentality and you read the headlines and saying, "Hey, it's going to be down for the next 10 years, I shouldn't start," or "Hey, there's going to be a recession this year, I shouldn't start," then you'll never start.
Yeah.
That's why it's important to read the headlines, but make your own educated decisions based on it. Listen to this show. Obviously, we're giving you information on a weekly basis that not only are we implementing, but the vast majority of the audience is implementing. Don't get tricked out of your spot, right? These are the companies. They're going to be here. S&P pulls back, they'll still be here. S&P thrives, they'll be a major part of it, right? We talked about how weighted NVIDIA, Apple, and Microsoft are inside of the S&P. So don't get tricked out of your spot. Stay invested.
And then also, you got to be diversified too, because, went down a rabbit.
But the diversification is in the S&P.
Yes, it is. But also the S&P is a long-term hedge. I look at the S&P like a savings account. It's better than having your money do nothing, right?
Sure.
So you have to have a portion of your portfolio that's some level of protected, even though technically nothing is protected in the stock market, but it's a relatively safer bet, right? Like it's a safe bet. So if it's like, okay, if you're looking at it from that standpoint, the risk reward ratio in the S&P 500 over the next 10 years is still, no matter, even if it's low rate of return, it's still safer bet than putting money into a bank account, right? So like if this gives 7-10% over the next decade, that's not something that you might be overly enthusiastic about, but it's better than returns that you would get just from bank account. Then if you look, okay, now you got to diversify as far as there are going to be stocks that's going to outpace the S&P 500, right? Most people think the AI technology sector, that's been leading. So when you look at NVIDIA, Microsoft, AMD, TSM, SMH, stuff like that. So if that does 15 to 30%, now you have outstretched that. As far as you got to have crypto, that if you look at those numbers, those is 20 to 40%. If you look at Bitcoin, just the Bitcoin alone, then you add in the Ethereum, but that's a higher risk reward ratio because that's a lot more volatility, right?
Yeah.
And then, I mean, real estate, you could probably expect 8%, 15%. That's more cash intensive, but that's another place to put money. Then you got to look at bonds. I mean, bonds you're looking at probably 4 to 8%. So that's on the lower side of things if you're like a very conservative investor. So if you look at an allocation of you mix it, but you got to have crypto. That's important because that's going to give you outstretched rates of returns, but it's also going to be extremely volatile. So if you put your whole thing in crypto, that's the part that can become tricky, because if you actually need the money, or if you have a tremendous downturn on it and you lose 40% in 1 year, that's harmful.
That's
tough.
So if you have the index, the tech, the Bitcoin, the real estate, healthcare, now you put together the portfolio. Now you have it. So you have to take things in consideration. Even if it is lower, like I said, I mean, how you should look at the S&P 500 is more of a safety net anyway. So you're not really looking at it like if you can get 50%, that's great, but you're not looking at it like it's going to give you 50% every single year. That's kind of setting yourself up for disappointment.
Yeah, and I don't even think you need to have it 50% a year. Like it goes into that mindset piece, like kind of like to what you're saying. It's getting 7 to 10% a year. We should be like, yes, like, yo, that's great. That's amazing. We had a great year. It's just that over the past 5, we've seen things go way outside those boundaries. But your savings account is doing 0.03% a year, and your high yield savings account is giving you 4.5% a year, and you're fine with that. Like you're completely fine with that. No sneezing. You don't question the bank. You're just like, all right, well, it's better than being nowhere. When you get 7 to 10% from the S&P, it's like only 7, only 10.
Yeah.
Last year was 25. The year before that was 24. Right? We should have that same level of enthusiasm on pay, like every year. I mean, we used to say 7 to 10, but now the average is going up to like 12% on average, which is like, where else are you getting that? I'll wait.
And a quick solution is if the market drops 5 or 8%, that's an easy to buy into those areas, and that's an easy way to outperform the 3% that's expected, or Lord forbid if we get sub 15% to buy in then. Or you can go to the NASDAQ for those who are going to say S&P doesn't dip that far. When NASDAQ dips plus 10%, buy it, hold it, and then you'll be able to make up those gains. But I wouldn't worry about this. The thing I do know about the team over at S&P Global and when they in Vanguard, they're going to find the best companies and make the allocation work to get the highest gain. And we'll talk about it maybe later, especially with Vanguard cutting those fees to eat into the market share of other competitors. Well, how do you make up those fees? Having better returns on VOO, VTI, VGT, VHT. So when a market falls apart 5 or 7%, that's the time to buy to outpace the lower gains. And it's a good time to build a base. If we're flat for 4 years and we only get 3% return, those are good years to put more money in to load up. So when the market takes off, we'll be okay.
Yeah, no, it's a good strategy as far as dollar cost averaging, but then put more money in on the downs.
Absolutely.
To make up, like you said, that's actually mathematically that's in your favor to invest when the market is down even more than you would traditionally.
Reserves. That's why we got to have those reserves.
Absolutely.
Be ready.
Okay. So speaking of Magnificent Seven, if we were to make a new Magnificent Seven that was created, what companies would be in it?
Of course, NVIDIA. Of course, Microsoft. I will put in Eli Lilly.
Okay.
Not publicly traded yet, but we saw the announcement. Eli got tip my hat. Starlink, let everyone get on the sign up list.
That was fire.
Starlink there when they're publicly traded.
Well played.
Anduril will be number 5. I will put Palantir in there as number 6. And then number 7. The 7th slot is tough. to think about. But if Google can make this quantum chip reality true, Google. I would definitely remove Tesla though. The volatility is too high. And you have other assets. Now, of course, everybody's gonna say Bitcoin, but I'm just talking publicly traded equities, not crypto. But if Google can make that quantum chip come to life, they'll have a huge competitive edge in there as well. So
Starlink, that's SpaceX. So you think they're going to spin Starlink into a private company?
No, I think Starlink, when it goes public, is probably going to be if you look at it from a marketing standpoint, they did a lead capture on a Super Bowl commercial. Everybody in the nation signed up for it. Use Starlink for free for the first month.
Yeah, they did the statistics on the commercials based on usage after they aired.
Yes.
It was number one. The T-Mobile Starlink commercial was number one. Well played.
Yeah. Well
service
played.
everywhere.
Well, that goes back before we answer this question. This goes back what you said about Bitcoin. I saw another article that said parents should start investing in Bitcoin for their kids' college education instead of 529 plans.
Oh,
how you feel about that?
That's interesting. I never thought about it. Of course, hindsight being 2020 at that 20,000, 28,000, 32,000 level, it's a better return for sure. But you can't argue with the return of Bitcoin. Like, it depends if you can handle the volatility, though. That's the only thing that I'd be worried about, if most parents can handle seeing the savings drop that much. But in terms of return over a 5 or 10 year period, no question. No question. Because even if it slows down, let's say Bitcoin just gets you 15%, it's still beating the S&P. It's going to beat the NASDAQ on average. It's going to be a little bit safer. It may not be for everyone's risk appetite, for sure. And maybe there should be like a financial threshold. If you make over 55,000, it's a good investment strategy, but definitely beating the 529 plan for sure. But what do you think?
Yeah, well, I already started investing for my son in IBIT because I just feel like if we talking about what's going to be the future,
for sure,
of course, technology, but we talking about crypto is going to be the future. So it would make sense to invest. If you think that this is going to be the future, it would make sense to invest for somebody that's young, for
sure,
into the future, right? Yeah. Like that's, and then like you said, as far as like the outstretched return possibility. I mean, you don't do the whole entire thing. I think it's a portion, but yeah, I think you got to get
everyone who wants to know. You think will be responsible?
10%.
Yeah,
10%. But you got to be aggressive with it with that. And I think that so it was interesting because I started doing that before I even heard this. But when I saw it, I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. If you want to say that this is the future, you got to give young people exposure to that. Because why not?
Troy?
Yeah, I want a different 7, so I want to make sure I don't have the same 7 as you. So you had Lilly.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Palantir. Yeah, SpaceX when they publicly traded. You had Microsoft in there.
Yes, no Apple.
And you had Nvidia.
Yep.
All right, so you're leaving Apple out of this, yes?
Let's see.
Okay. All right.
HQ's so mad at me. Yo, can y'all unlock my account? Whatever y'all think.
Yeah.
So trade off with the slander, boy. Ooh.
So I'm gonna give a different 7 because I had Lilly, but I'll remove it. I had a backup just in case you had Lilly. So I am keeping Apple. You didn't have Meta, which was interesting because I thought you would.
Oh, Zuck. Sorry.
So that's my 2. Amazon, of course, y'all know how I feel about Amazon. That would be my 3. Google was 4. Nvidia was 5.
Okay.
And then I have Microsoft, but I feel like that's too easy, right?
It says a new Mag 7. So those companies you said are already in Mag 7.
That's what I said. You left some of those out, but I'm adding new ones now.
I think it was not including companies that's already in the Mag 7. A new Mag 7. Because we know that Mag 7 is already the Mag 7.
I know, but people get replaced. So like I'm putting Netflix in there. I'm putting Netflix inside of my 7.
That's a good pick. Yeah.
They were
Netflix.
I'm putting them inside of my 7. I'm putting Broadcom inside of my 7. And I'm putting TSM inside of my 7. So like that's like 8. But I'm putting now TSM obviously not an American company. All the other ones I named are American. And so you can take that with a grain of salt or however you want to mix that. But I would add, those would be the ones I would add in. If I had to take some out, I would mix it. Definitely I gotta have Meta. I can't not have that in there. Obviously I gotta have Amazon.
Yeah.
So I gave you like 8. So Broadcom I'm putting there. I had Lilly, but you said Lilly. So I said if he says Lilly, I'm putting TSM.
Yeah.
Who you got?
I mean, there's a lot of companies that's already named.
That's kind of tough, yeah.
But as far as Mag 7, I think Bitcoin is not a publicly traded company, but you can't have 7 investments. Yeah, you can't have 7 investments without, once again, if this is going to be the future, you got to include it. And it pretty much is a publicly traded company now because there's so much money coming into ETFs. So Bitcoin, for sure. I mean, of course, NVIDIA, TSM, I think.
That's a great 3 starting with, boy. You on fire.
Yeah. Eli Lilly, you said the healthcare, if we talking about healthcare, the biggest area of the economy, that's only going to continue to get bigger. Then, like you said, from a defense standpoint, I think cybersecurity too. You got to have a cybersecurity company in there.
Who you going with?
CrowdStrike.
Okay. Number 1.
That's important. I mean, I think that it's only going to become more and more important as far as cybersecurity. Everything is all these data hacks and all that stuff.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. Yeah.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Palantir is definitely, one of these companies. If you look at defense, you gotta look at they're making commercials for drones.
And making that defense tech space sexy, right?
It's something that people not paying attention to, but
that's the part of the budget Doge can't cut. The defense spending, Eli, get it.
and majority of these are the one like Lilly is, TSM is. These are $1 trillion companies now,
for sure.
So I know it's like we kind of sneezed at it, which is crazy, right? Like 10 years ago, there were no $1 trillion companies.
Yeah.
And now we have like $8 trillion companies with Netflix, like not far at all. And we didn't talk about, we could have threw Visa in there. Like that was a wild card I had.
Sure.
I always base it on what I think like you guys are going to say. So I'm like, let me just throw some wild cards up. Visa is a company I'm invested in, but that could be there.
Powerhouse.
Yeah.
Saudi Aramco as well. I know it's on the international.
We all skipped it. I know we all skipped that though. Why did we all skip it?
Creeping up.
Saudi Aramco. We gotta see the future of oil. And that's interesting too. I just saw something about Aliko Dangote, his oil refinery in Nigeria, and how they saying that he's alleging that it's actually getting sabotaged from the Nigerian government at the highest level.
Oh gosh.
And so he's fighting with he got an infight right now with the Nigerian government. And Nigeria is one of these countries that produces oil, then sends it to Europe to get refined, and then sends it back to them because they don't have the refinery. So now it's like they got the refinery, but it's a lot of people that's going to not go out of business, but lose a lot of money. Shell, one of them, and a bunch of other companies. So they're saying that these companies putting pressure on the government, paying off the government allegedly, which is intentionally slowing the development of his. Like he went as far to say that I was watching, he was giving a press conference. He was saying like, there's people internally that's trying to sabotage it, even internally, like as far as working in this company.
In the Dangote company?
He like this. I'm sure that there's people that
It's crazy. If you watched over the past 8 years, let's say the past 6 years, his net worth has gone from 21 billion down, I say down in quotations, to 11.6 billion. And a lot of it is because a lot of it is the capex that's going into this project. Now, this project could make him top 20 wealthiest people in the world. You're talking about going from a country that has to import their oil to a country that could potentially go to, I think when we reported it, like one of the top 10 countries, number 9 or 8 in the world, as far as exporting. Imagine what that does to the GDP of a country. So to sabotage your own plan is just like, it's crazy.
Well, it's one of these things.
It's crazy, man.
But it also goes back to political influence because they said, like, he always had great relationships with all of the presidents. This presidency, he doesn't have a good relationship with. I think he backed the other guy. So you got to hedge your bets properly because now they raided his office. Their version of IRS raided his office months ago. So they've been kind of putting pressure on him for like 6 months now, and it's interesting because the only countries in Africa that's self-sufficient with oil is Libya and Algeria, I believe he was saying. So he was saying, like, as far as his model, he was like, they've been trying to do it in other countries in Africa, sub-Saharan Africa for years, and they haven't been able to do it. So if he's able to do it, he'll be the first country really in sub-Saharan Africa for sure to actually be able to refine oil at a high level and not have to import oil from Europe. But I mean, it makes no sense to have to make oil, then send it to Europe for them to send it back to you. But once again, it goes back to leadership. When we talked about what, Torre, a lot of it falls on the feet of leadership, unfortunately. And it's an exploitive system. So hopefully they can figure that out because that could be something that could not only change Nigeria's future, but the continent of Africa. Sure. But they're not going to let it go smoothly. Of course not. They're not going to let it go smoothly. It's too much money that companies are making. So anything that they can do to sabotage the situation, they will.
This is a $36 billion project. $36 billion, which is, but it can change the economy for the country and the continent forever. I looked up the net worths, like they do that. Robert Smith is right there. They're like almost neck and neck at this point. Robert Smith is on pace by the end of this year to be the wealthiest black man on the planet.
Yeah, Dave Stewart right now.
Not like past. They just do a new one. Dave Stewart is
legend.
I wonder if anybody's ever heard audio of him speak.
I seen a speech of him.
You saw it? How long ago?
It's on YouTube.
I'm saying, how long ago was the speech?
I don't know how long ago, but it was like at a Christian university. He's a very devout Christian, so he spoke at some Christian university in Texas. Rare
sighting.
I saw him speak before. But
it's a great business lesson, though.
It's always something.
When you're trying to innovate, and this is the lesson of the year, decade that we can learn from Drake, and this applies here too. When you're trying to innovate and disrupt this system, you got to know who every enemy is on the table. And that's why I always tell you, in order to be able to thrive while you're taking on the empire, you got to pay the VIG back to the empire.
The enemy within.
Always. And then you got to go look at the other countries. Like we'll talk about it one day when we get clearance, G5 certified, all that, classified. But China's investment into Nigeria is scary in the pace at which they're doing it. Insane.
The continent and overall, like we saw it firsthand in Ghana.
Insane.
So, it's a lot. It's a lot going on these days for sure.
And it's easier to sabotage from the inside than it is from outside forces. But in combination, you got to be careful. Got to be careful.
So. Yeah. Okay. You see Elon Musk on his you been following the South African thing?
I have.
So that's why even Trump spoke about it. What's your thoughts on that?
You're a political expert.
Political expertise.
Back to you, Rashad. What do you think?
Oh
man, for real. Y'all going to All-Star next? Just so ease up on, y'all don't give it up how y'all used to. A part of chess is not revealing your hand to the world about everything you think, so it can be weaponized against you.
That's a fact. Well, speaking of Trump, he's disrupting every system, and the market has been on edge for the first couple of weeks of his presidency. So what's 3 stocks that will thrive regardless of any tariff that's put in place or any decision that he makes while he's in office?
Yeah, I'm going to give 2 classic ones that I've mentioned before and one new one. One is JP Morgan, regardless of him and Jamie's tumultuous relationship.
Smart.
The banking sector is going to thrive. They're going to be the biggest beneficiary of. And we can make the argument, if you have exposure to Bitcoin, do you need exposure to banking? Not necessarily, but if you want a safer hedge, JP Morgan is one, McDonald's is number two. Given the real estate, even though they're having issues with getting like on demand or foot traffic into the stores, the sales are doing well overall year over year. But the third one is Acuity Brands. So they do like lighting management for corporations. Dominant player in that space. I would kind of compare them to Stryker in healthcare. It's like a brand inside of an ecosystem that not many people talk about, but those businesses won't be affected. So JP Morgan, McDonald's, Acuity Brands, and I can also make an argument for Kava, but those are the three that I'm going with.
Oh, that's my company right there.
Yeah.
So I'll go again. I'll choose three different ones. So Visa for sure.
For sure.
And then, like I said, when you think about who tariffs affect, obviously goods and services and products, that makes sense. But I'm not sure how that affects Netflix.
It won't.
So that's another company I had on here. I had Lilly as well, from a healthcare standpoint. And even if you watch their earnings report, the demand has gone down, but the interest in the innovation that they have coming led their guidance for the future. And so I don't think tariffs.
Lilly or Netflix?
Lilly.
Okay, yeah.
So like I don't see how the tariffs will play a role in that. So those would be my three. And then I kind of like asterisk put Meta on there from a social media standpoint. But the fact that, do they dominate in China? No. Do they exist in China? No. And so I know that those are the tariffs, but there could be customer bases in Mexico and Canada, and who knows? He might be looking at Europe next as this is another country or continent that we need to look at. So Meta, asterisk, but those three for sure.
Yeah, Visa, Netflix, and Lilly. That's a hell of a three.
I'll take those.
That's the other big three.
Yeah, I know the safe thing is to say, all right, just consumer discretionary or just consumer staples, right? Like if you read about it, it's like, oh, well, P&G makes sense. I'm like, well, they have products and services that have to get shipped, and I'll take those three.
Okay. So
thoughts on Elon South Africa? No, I'm just joking. But you see, his father's been speaking out. Interesting. The arrow, Musk, said that Elon was not even a fan of Trump 8 years ago. His father actually was the one that got him to have interest in Trump, but he cut his dad off for embarrassing him at a Democratic Party. That's why, like, financing wars, well, Shawty Love say, it must be two sides. You better finance both sides in business. If you're going to go to war, you got to finance both. Otherwise, you're leaving a lot of risk on the table. So don't give your commentary on South Africa, Elon. I know it's Black History Month, y'all, but we want to be here for the long haul.
So Trump said on Sunday that he will announce 25% tariffs on all steel and aluminum imports into the U.S.
Are we tired of the tariffs already? Like the executive order, this is like, when people like go through a heartbreak and they like block everybody they used to know, right? I'm over the tariffs thing. Will I have a short term? I'm glad that U.S. Steel decided to go a certain route and not be sold off, and they're doing a partnership with Japan. Great. But I don't think all these tariffs are going to work out the way that his team believes they will. I know, as a result, the market moved around a little bit, but I think in 3 months, 2 months, we won't even care about the story at all for all of you who are worried about U.S. steel and the price of steel and aluminum. So
just like, block everybody until you're like, oh, wait, I didn't mean to block you. My fault.
My bad.
Sorry. My bad. I was tripping. Yeah. It's like we've explained what the tariffs are. It's just like a new day. Who's the target?
And if you overuse a weapon at some point, it's not as effective as it was when you first wielded it.
Yeah. And especially like it was like Canada, it's Mexico, it's China. then it's like, oh, nah, well, we got 30 days to figure this out. We got 30 days to figure this out.
Yeah.
TikTok, we're going to ban it. All right, we got 90 days to figure this out. It's like, it starts to wean on you. Like, is something really going to happen? It kind of loses its effectiveness. The poignancy isn't. It doesn't feel the same way as when you first heard the news of it.
Big investing lesson, though. You have to know the temperament of the president that you have in office. When you know that Trump has leaned towards being a transactional president, there's weaknesses in that and there's strength in that. But when being strategic, especially when you have BRICS, the AI revolution or AI race is really important. You can't have a lot of transactions or that be the focus. You have to think very long term, even past his tenure, even though I'm sure he's trying to find a way to be in office forever. There's a lot of weaknesses in a transactional leader. You have to think about the long term. So the tariff thing is like, if we have fatigue from it, and even Scheinbaum has said like, okay, we don't need a lot of your materials. Like we can partner with the other countries. Like they're the little brother of that BRICS alliance. It's better to get along. While our debt is at the highest it's ever been for our country. So
so you're going to charge tariffs for the importer, which would inversely make people, I guess, domestically, U.S. steel would be something that obviously you'd have to have more for, and for infrastructure you need it. So I guess that idea is kind of like, let's make America first. So let's use our steel and not ship any out or have any come in.
Which I like the premise, but the execution of it is poor.
Yeah. It's just like some of these ideas. Who's thinking them out before we tweet them? Or we're just saying
the offensive coordinator of the Kansas City Chiefs. Get your ass fired. What's his name? Louis Manangoti, whatever. Hey, bro, wrap it up. Go to the locker, pack your shit up, call it a day. What happened? Y'all wasn't protecting Pat at all. Y'all was in New Orleans there. You know what I mean? What's happening?
They got 3 pros. They got 3 all pros on the line, bro. All pros.
It was all proing before the Super Bowl. It looked like. Man, what?
Oh man.
What do you feel about so Trump's media company plans to launch a Bitcoin ETF.
True Social.
Making it the first US president to introduce an ETF. So not an ETF based around companies, but a Bitcoin ETF.
Big Biddy. When he launched that meme coin and y'all let him get that off, I said the next Market Mondays, you're going to do an ETF, right? Now, if I'm Trump and I'll see Michael Saylor get on the cover of Fortune.
Forbes,
excuse me. Shout out to MicroStrategy and the rebrand y'all doing. I don't know, Big T was like, shit, if he can do it, I can do it. Cool. So it's evil and smart at the same time to take a group that is so fanatical they'll support anybody who is behind that product. But it's crazy to think that he wouldn't launch this and there's nothing anyone can do about it. And it's going to work because everyone who's a Bitcoin maxi doesn't care about politics more than they care about the gains. They're going to support the hell out of this, and it's going to make Donald Trump richer on the media side. It's actually an evil, brilliant plan.
It's worked. I mean, he's already done it, right? Like, I don't know anybody that has True Social, anybody that used True Social, but I did watch the stock run up. I did see it pull back. I did see him make $8 billion from it. So let's just.
And if it's the hedge that Michael did when that company was failing, what?
Yes, you just kind of glaze over that change in the name. Like, it's no longer MicroStrategy anymore. Yeah. Revamping it. We're gonna rename this whole thing. Strategy. That's the name.
That's crazy.
Nothing micro about this. Pause.
Shout out to Mike for getting that off. Man, the whole pause.
So
what can you do?
What do you think about the 60,000 U.S. federal government employees that have accepted Trump's buyout offer to quit jobs so far?
I'm not a political expert. Media trainer. And because I love y'all so much, I won't even throw it back to you. But if you want to give your commentary, we need a federal worker or someone in the system to speak on this issue.
You know what? I'll be honest. There was a federal worker who was at the mastermind, and we did have this conversation. And outside of saying that every day things change. Every day is something new. Don't go to the office. Don't show up to the office. Be in the office.
Yeah.
This was one of the topics that, we spoke about, and it was, you guys have till September. Like, we're going to pay you out till September. And so I didn't know that many people would accept it.
That's crazy.
Obviously, there's more employees than that are trying to figure out what this actually means. Can we fight this? Is he even permitted to do this? Which is part of it. But 60,000 is a huge number of what are we going to do now? Number. That's a lot of, like, I know people have watched entrepreneurial journeys increase, and we've looked at the ADP numbers, and obviously that means, people are employing or self-employing or paying out employees. That's a lot of people, man. I don't know what the pay is out until that point, but like, what is the plan? What is the plan? Especially for a lot of people who that's what they've been doing for the past 10, 15, some 20 years plus. Yeah.
And given the ebb and flow nature of said president, to give grace, who says that payout stays to September? If Elon going to be like, line cut, we can save X. And Meta has layoffs today. It's been swept under the rug. A couple other companies have layoffs. Like,
this is true.
This is scary. That many people at one time can be let off, knowing that they may not be onboarded back into the workforce. It's pretty scary.
Yeah.
And as business owners, we know just cutting expenses does not save a company or entity. Sounds good. Let off 60,000 people or 120,000 in 4 years to save the company. We're 37 trillion in debt.
They said that number might not be true. I think Elon was saying that today. Like, the 37 trillion might not be true because of fraud.
Well,
I'm like, what? It gets, every day
back like you do on Stripe,
every day this thing gets more interesting.
Quantitative easing. If we're gonna be honest, without quantitative easing, 2000 through 2020 would have been flat. They would have blew up Wall Street.
Allegedly.
Had to do something. Allegedly. Just
yeah. Has anybody seen like what the compensation was? Like the compensation packages that they were offering? For 60,000 people to say yes, I would imagine it had to be something that was, how do you get 60,000 people to say yes to something within a week?
And
what were they offering?
Expenses go by fast, yo.
Quick.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Okay. So what companies who has earnings this week are you most optimistic about?
I like McDonald's.
They did well today.
Shopify. Yeah. Shopify, S&P Global, of course. Applovin, Palo Alto, easy winner. And Medpace, in the medical space. Those are like the ones I love. Because I know everyone like, I'm tired of you talking about Apple, Microsoft, NVIDIA. How can you be tired of a winner? Notice Andy Reid and the owner of the Chiefs didn't let Mahomes go this morning after the loss. Lesson number 2, hold on to your winners for a lifetime. Kelsey, you can let go.
Come on, man.
You may need to call Kayla. What our hating ass, yo. We're gonna talk about that.
Shout out to them, man. Shout out to I Am Athlete, the new I Am Athlete. I got a few others too, because I've been talking about them for a while now. So Vertev will be reporting this week, and so we talked about the AI revolution in terms of cooling solutions. So Vertev, this company we spoke about when we went to their conference. And this is another one of those things. When we visit somewhere, we always come back and tell y'all they have innovation. Be on the lookout for them. If you haven't been watching what Robinhood has done since that conference, they are cooking. They're going to be reporting earnings today. We already know how Bitcoin has performed. We have seen in the past their correlation to the growth of Bitcoin. And so this quarter will have had that run up to 100,000 after the election. So I'm definitely interested in Robinhood. Coinbase will be reporting this week as well. Same reasons, right? During that quarter, you saw that again. The election happened, and we saw up to 100,000 for Bitcoin. I got Datadog on there as well. right? So DDOG, when talking about the cloud space, they have had a nice run. And then of course, this is kind of getting swept under the rug because NVIDIA have been pulled back and Broadcom pulled back. But Supermicro is going to be reporting this week. So now we get to finally see these numbers. What has happened? Even them, right? They were down at 19. They've crawled up here to let me see where they're at today. We're up at 36, 32. This is interesting. We're going to see what Supermicro has in store. So I'm watching all those companies, Vertev and Palo Alto. I actually put in UIL University. Shout out to all the earners in there. So Palo Alto, I'm actually going to put a case. They like when I put the case as to why I did it. I'm gonna put the case for Palo Alto in the community tomorrow because I love that company. And so those are the ones I'm looking at.
It's a great list.
I appreciate you, my brother.
Okay. So what's the high? Going back to Palantir, what's the highest price you think it can get to this year?
For disclaimer, I'm not trying to ride the Palantir bandwagon for when this gets clipped up. So, but given the spending in defense tech in 3 years, I can see him getting to 228.15. Yeah, 228.15. So I can have them going. Because from what I am hearing, Andrew may not go public until 28. If they were going public in 26, that may change. But if you want exposure to defense and you don't want Northrop Grumman or any of the typical players, like you said, this is like a new category. Palantir is on a tear and they are slowly becoming a fan favorite. Alex may be a little bit different than your typical CEO, but the fact that he's engaging with the retail audience, pretty fascinating. Pretty fascinating. Yeah. He's adapting.
Yeah.
So
he's like on that next tier of CEOs that are outspoken. We know his name. Like a lot of the CEOs, we don't know their name. We don't see them. I remember we had that clip when he was talking about cocaine and we're like, yo, what? But it drew attention. And when you draw attention, sometimes people start believing in you and then they'll start believing in the company, right? It's like we watch Elon do this over and over, right? It doesn't matter how many cars they sell or don't sell. People believe in him and they believe in the leadership. And so, he has a chance here to do that as well. Yeah, Micro, it almost touched 41 today, Supermicro.
That's interesting.
That's interesting. They know something over there, I think. Okay. We're watching that. We're circling that.
Yeah, I want to see what the numbers are on that. But as far as Palantir, they delivered on the numbers. Like you can't argue against them. And I get it too. If you are looking for a company that isn't in the $300, $400, $500 range, like Lilly's price like a tech stock, I get it. So there are a lot of retail investors that are there who like it just because it's relatively affordable as well. So I get that.
How do you stay the course and stick to the plan when greed and fear sets in?
I thought this was a great question. I think you have to have a big vision for what you want your goal to be. For me, my North Star is to never have to depend on one client, customer, or person to be able to provide for me and my family. But you have to have a goal that is bigger than you. And also looking at the data, like every week, news media's job in investing is to tell you something else so that they can sell ads. Like I'll ask you guys, when you went to Davos, did you hear one person say, man, I can't wait till next year to sell off all my positions? The greatest owners and executives on earth hold every asset forever. That Landman clip with Jerry Jones, amazing.
That was really good.
Deserves an Oscar. But if he never wins another Super Bowl, if my goal was to raise my kids and have them with me while building an empire, that's worth more than a Super Bowl. So you have to realize, it as terrible as Dak may be at times, he wins every day that he gets a chance to hang with his family and have them inside of his empire. While it's valued, it's the number one brand without winning a Super Bowl. So
in sports.
Yeah. Like you have to figure out what your end goal is first. And a lot of times when people can't stay on track, it's because they're not very clear in what they want to do. So, but for you guys, y'all work hard, y'all travel all over and they only see the party part of Drip Report. Like, how do you guys stay focused and locked in on what the goal is day in, day out, even when you're tired? Shotty had the flu. Hey, COVID test, next mastermind. Bane mask.
Bird flu test.
For real.
Yeah,
How do you guys stay locked in?
You guys stay focused. I think it's one of these things that you can't lose sight of the mission until it's over. You know what I mean? So that's it, really. Just until the game is over, anything can happen.
Yeah.
So you've seen crazy things happen before. So gotta just stay on point. Gotta stay focused. Gotta maximize the opportunity while you have it. And just win the day. Focus on the day, one day at a time. Really.
Yeah. I think we are relentlessly always in the hunt. Like people look at it like, what's next? There's an expectation of what's next because we're always on the hunt. Like you do Invest Fest, and then you come out with the book, and then you got the curriculum. It's like it doesn't surprise them when something else happens, but we're always in pursuit of the next thing anyway, right?
Yeah.
While people are focusing on what's happening now, we're looking at the next thing, and we're keeping our composure through it all. So, I mean, the key to it is that we have a plan going into before we start. So this is how we're going to do it. Here's how we're going to execute it.
Yep.
By the time it's execution, it's like, all right, we already have drawn this up in our head already, right? Now we just got to go play the game, right? It's like leading up to the Super Bowl. They've practiced every day for 10 months for one day. Yeah. So by the time the one day, you're so prepared that it's like, all right, well, I'm playing this out exactly how we envision. Of course, there might be some audibles in there, but the end result, the mission is always going to be the same. Let's go win.
And I'll say this too, to wrap this part up. Stop taking the blessing that you prayed for granted. I see a lot of people in business who were doing okay, and they got comfortable or took it for granted or took the fan base or customer base for granted. And now you don't have that shit anymore. I was going back to some podcasts I listened to in 2021, I'm like, damn. Tough businesses. If you don't adjust, it's going to be tough. And you may not ever get in a position to get that lead back. So stay grateful for the blessings you've been given as well.
Yeah, for sure. I think you got to have a healthy dose of paranoia and
for sure,
and disappointment for sure. Like you got to be disappointed in yourself on a certain level, because if you are not, then you can't feel like you're a success. You gotta feel like you're more of a failure than a success. It's a balance because you don't want to, be depressed. But it's like if you study the greats, none of the greats really ever felt like they were really great in that moment.
Yeah.
Actually, most people at actually highest level of success is insecure. That's why you got to balance it out, because it does lead. Sometimes you go too far and you get overdose and drugs and stuff like that. But if you look at it like Michael Jackson, the highest people, most of the time they have levels of insecurity. But that's what kept them going, because when everybody else saw it, they didn't see themselves how they saw them. Like Kanye had it on his documentary. He was like, a giant doesn't know he's a giant from looking in the mirror. You know what I mean? Like you can't see yourself how everybody else sees you. That's beneficial. That's helpful. When you start to see yourself how everybody else sees you, you lose what got you to that point. Because what got you to that point is trying to prove somebody wrong, and you got a chip on your shoulder, and you working, and everybody doubted you, and you trying to make a name for yourself. So you got to keep that edge at all times. Because if not.
That's the part.
If you lose that edge and you start to read your own press clippings and start to believe the hype, then you're not going to be in the trenches still. You're not going to have that same level of desire. And it's only so long before somebody else surpasses you, because they're more hungry, and they do have the desire, and it does mean something, and they do have something to prove, and they do want to make a name for themselves. So always got to be paranoid. For sure, because it's so many different things that can happen, but you also gotta have some level of like disappointment and like, okay, I did 10, I could have did 11. I did 50, 30. I could have did 100. Like it's a disappointment.
Yeah,
that's my philosophy.
Yeah, I wanted to disagree, but you landed the plane. I'm glad I didn't interrupt, because I was like, I don't necessarily agree with that, but what you're saying about the giant looking at that's 100% true. It's like why people when they walk and they meet us in real life, it's like, oh my gosh, these guys are so humble. Like, no, not once am I looking at you like a celeb or him as a celeb or myself like a celeb. Like we're not. Like even that word fame to me is kind of not. I'm like, yo, we're everyday people. Like we've been championed by people.
Yeah.
Right. Like we come from, I don't want to say the dirt. Like we come from like level-headed mindsets, level-headed surroundings. And so when somebody sees me taking the garbage out, they're like, yo, what are you doing? Or when they see me shoveling snow, Ian, what are you doing? Like, no, bro, like this is like everyday people, everyday life. Like we're human beings at the end of the day. Yeah. Right. But we're always in the hunt. I think I'm glad you landed that.
You have to stay hungry.
Yeah. You got it. You got to. Yeah. And the expectation too. Like, I don't know if I want to use the word disappointment. I probably would say have a certain level of expectation that you put on yourself that in your mind, you're saying like, I could have done more. I could have exceeded what I people expected of me. Because when you go into these things, it's like you want to over deliver. And then when it's done, it's like, did I? The people might perceive that, yes, you over delivered. It was great. And your mind is like, yo, if we could have improved on that, I left that out.
I did it last night as soon as Kendrick was done performing. I pulled up my Invest Fest. I'm like, damn, I should have got Jackson State. Sorry, we're gonna be all right. Okay, hey.
No, it's Southern. It's trombone available late August.
Got you, Sam Jackson and the Ooh,
shout out to Uncle Sam.
Start making some calls already. Hey, we need such and such. Okay,
you keep a wolf hungry. That's the key. Yeah. You keep a wolf hungry. If a wolf's not hungry, he's not a wolf anymore.
Yeah. So they're gonna put you on the plate. You know that.
You got it. You keep the wolf hungry. When I say the wolf, yourself. You gotta keep yourself hungry. You know, whenever you lose your hunger, that's a very dangerous place to be in as a human being, especially as a man. Because once you lose your hunger, once you lose that,
some little young pup going.
They're gonna
take you out the game. Yep, that's why even after mastermind going out. Nope, going right to.
They're gonna have you running on the beach, man.
Yeah,
can't, man.
That's a fact.
Montoya.
That's why they're gonna running on the beach talking about you destroying me.
You destroying me for all my dogs. Gotta keep the hunt. Find ways to get better every day. Find ways to get better every single day.
That was like it's crazy now you think about it, and I know we've referenced it before, but like when Kendrick is on To Pimp a Butterfly, and it's that Pac interlude, and he was like, yo, that time of energy between 25 to 30 is the peak because you're hungry, you're ambitious, and you're ready to go disrupt the world. And if you don't execute in those time frames, like you start to see that wane off a little bit. By the time you're 35, it could look a lot different.
It's over.
Yeah, for a lot of people, you gotta be special.
You're either a hustler or a customer in this world.
For sure.
You're either a hustler or a customer. A hustler is always going to be scrambling because then you got a number two that the goal helps. I remember, I seen Sam was talking. He was like, he wanted to make $1 million when he was selling mixtapes and DVDs. Black Sam, I'm referring to. And he was like, he ain't care about clothes. He ain't care about eat. He ain't even eat. He ain't care about nothing. He was in the rain. He was doing whatever. He was just stacking the money. Get the money, stack it. Get the money, stack it. I don't glorify drug dealing because I do feel like it's harmful to our community. But for sure, I always respect the hustler, even from that perspective, like just seeing it. Like I saw people like having shoe boxes full of money. That was always something that was interesting to me because I'm like, some people get money just to spend it, but then a lot of people really get money and it's a goal. It's like a reality show. Like they feel like I got 5,000 put in the box, like the 10,000, 20,000, 30,000, 30, 50,000. So you keep that same mindset, like no matter what you do, like, you know what I mean? Like just like clothes doesn't mean anything. Jewelry doesn't mean anything. Cars don't mean anything. Even a home in the grand scheme of things don't mean anything. Like you focus on your number. Don't get distracted by social media. Don't get distracted by what somebody else is doing. Don't get distracted if you see somebody in Turks and Caicos. You focus on what you got to focus on. Stack your bread till you get to that number. That's it. And it's like a reality show every day. You're going to have good days. You're going to have bad days. You're going to have ups. You're going to have downs. You focus on getting your bread right. It's just like it was a shoebox, but it's not a shoebox, but it's just that same mentality. Yeah. Like you focus on getting your money right. That's it.
Your brokerage account is your new shoebox. Straight up.
Facts. Like, and the crazy part, when you hit that number a couple times, you be like, damn, this is it. Like you'll be for those of you who haven't got there yet, I promise you, whatever number you have in mind, you're gonna hit it and be like, I should have went 4 or 5 times higher.
Knowing you can do it is like believing you can do it is the first thing.
Yeah.
Then actually putting a plan together.
Just inflation. Oh my God.
Yeah,
like I said, as soon as we got into market and mass, inflation come ramping up. Okay.
Let's get them out of here.
Yeah. Rules for Airbnb nationwide change.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. I said the telltale sign will be when they stop allowing people to open brokerage accounts or they start charging you again. Or they put limits on whether you can trade futures.
The minimums are going to be higher.
The minimums you might have to have 10,000 in your brokerage account or 20,000. They'll put some type of minimum in place where everybody can't participate. That'll be a game changer. Like that'll be like, all right, they're in the system, they're making it. How do we get them out of here?
Yeah, stop. Don't go on dates. Don't waste no money on that. That's a waste of money. All of that's a distraction. Dates is a distraction. Clothes is a distraction.
Yeah, we got Valentine's Day this week, bro.
That's a distraction. It's a man-made holiday.
Valentine's a distraction?
It's a man-made holiday. It's a man-made holiday.
Say that for Wednesday, please.
It has nothing to do with love. It's a man-made holiday to extract money from, once again, hustlers and customers. That's a distraction.
Yeah.
Valentine's Day is a distraction.
Please remember that these thoughts shared. No,
you gotta be extreme and to get where you want to go. That's the biggest myth that people think that you could be balanced. You got to be extreme. You could be balanced once you get to where you want to go. Right now, you want to come up. You try and save 10,000. You try and save 100. You try and make your first million. You got to be extreme. I'm just going to be honest with you. You can't get to that point if you're not going to be extreme. So you got to have short-term sacrifice, short-term pain to get to that goal. You could there's a million times where you can sell it. You could do Valentine's every single day if your money's right.
Facts.
Until then, we're not doing Valentine's Day. We're not doing trips. We're not doing none of that. We're not spending $100 on dipped cherries.
Dipped cherries.
And chocolate.
Dipped cherries.
And even when you get to that mountain,
now, that's so balanced, right? Because that might be true for some people. Some people that may not be true, right? Yeah. But you got to figure out what's true for you. That's the most important thing. Forget what he says. Forget what I say. Ian said, what's going to work for you? You can listen to this, and you can.
No, don't forget what I say.
No.
I'm saying.
But
I know what you're joking. I'm just joking. Yeah.
Whatever works for you is going to work for you, but have a plan.
But what I'm speaking is firsthand experience.
And that's for you.
Yeah.
That might not be my first-hand
experience. That's the only thing I could really give.
That's what I said. That's what I said. You got to give your blueprint.
But it's a successful blueprint. It has worked.
But so here's the thing, my blueprint different and it's successful as well.
Right.
So that's what I'm saying. They got to figure out what their blueprint's going to be.
So you got to figure out what your archetype is. I feel
exactly. That's what I'm telling you, bro. That's what I'm saying.
Locked in. Nope. Yeah. Now you can go celebrate if you want to. But even when you get to that pinnacle, you still have to remain hungry. We just talked about it. They're trying to overthrow his company. Even at the pinnacle, the people who came up with you may not be the happiest, or they may feel entitled, or you didn't pay enough, or somebody may give them an offer that they can't refuse to topple your stuff.
Right.
Even somebody you too paranoid. Rather be paranoid than poor.
That's what I'm saying. He's a giant in that industry. He's gotten to the top of a proverbial mountain, right? He's looking back like, how can I help? And as soon as he gets there, he's looking like, yo, there's higher mountains.
One day we're gonna have a conversation about how helping leads to your own ruin.
Potentially.
One day. Yeah. Not today or Valentine's Day week. Shout out to all the lovers. What is Montoya doing on Valentine's Day?
Certified.
Ooh, yeah, for real.
You're destroying me. You're destroying me.
Hustlers, that's if you're still living.
You're destroying me.
Valentine's Day. Cancel Valentine's Day.
That's crazy.
Spoken by Rashad Bilal.
Every day is Valentine's Day.
Every day should be Valentine's Day. Yep.
I love you every day. Babe, I love you every day.
But you know, that's I've been consistent.
I love you every day.
Christmas. Now, why you focusing on spending $5,000 for Christmas gifts if you don't have money saved? It's a distraction.
$2,000 bag, no money in your purse.
That's a distraction.
For real.
If she loved you, she gonna understand it. If she doesn't understand it, she's not the person for you.
Yeah, she's not the one for you. For real.
That part. That's the part.
Yeah.
What's your architect? What's the plan and everything? Who's the person that
for you? Keep her.
If you're gonna have a person, who is that person? Like, what are the things that you're looking for in that person?
Stay down till you come up.
Fact.
Yep.
That's a fact.
And if she's not gonna stay down till she come up, she's a distraction. Vice versa, he could be a distraction. The biggest liability in your life is gonna be the relationships that you have. That's a fact.
Facts.
And the person you choose to be with.
That's a relationship.
Big facts.
It could be relationship friends too, though.
That's why I said ships.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying.
Friends, family,
all facts.
Wife, husband.
You got to do that asset allocation on the inner circle and who you dating. That shit.
Assets over liability.
And wrap it up. That's another thing that could take you off path, man. You get kids.
Ain't no latex.
It's not over. It's not over forever, but it throws a monkey wrench in your plans for sure.
For sure.
All right. What do I know? What's your outlook on ELF?
I've talked about the stock before.
Yeah, they took a hit.
Yeah, they've gotten demolished for a little bit, and but I told the correction price like I like it sub 58 to buy back in.
Mm-hmm.
This what I don't like though. When he said the CEO said,
can I read it? Can I read it,
please?
Because I did. So, well, it took a 30% hit last week, and I thought this is the quote from the CEO. He said the LA wildfires and the looming TikTok ban lowered social media conversions for sales, which the company says is key for the reason why the company is lowering its fiscal outlook for the rest of the year. Right. So the blow from the Elf Beauty really relies on social media advertising and user generated content for sales. So you're blaming, like, that's like not even read the room. Like, what?
Hey, my boy, you and the Kansas City O-line coordinator, both of y'all go pack your bags up. You about to lose your job. You blaming TikTok. TikTok didn't get banned. You can't ban a snowman. If you don't know, it's up. I know you probably don't use it. I don't like leaders who don't take accountability for why things are not going well. I don't love this reason. That makeup space, great space to be in. But this is why every year when I do a presentation, I'll tell you, go look at the founder or the CEO and their characteristics, because their personal beliefs will bleed into the company. Blaming the wildfires, okay, that could affect inventory.
Mm-hmm.
But if your margins are not thick enough to withstand that 1 day TikTok ban.
Yeah, but the language around it, right? I don't think he was talking about it from an inventory standpoint. It was more of a sense where it was a distraction, whereas more algorithms were showing what was happening in California, right, during that horrific time, as opposed to showing what somebody in their natural algorithm would have been makeup and beauty and cosmetology happening on their feed, which is what they lean on to have people convert. Oh, what lipstick was that? Or what eyeliner was that? What blush was that? What contour was that? If the algorithm's not showing those things, then it's going to affect sales. Well, it wasn't showing those things because there was a disaster in the state and a lot of people were affected. To say that that's a distraction, obviously it hurts the business, but like I don't think, as a CEO, I'm not sure that might have been the right pulpit to say something like that.
Listen, I don't know what school you went to, Berkeley, wherever you went to. You need to be fired, bro. You need to go to the executive management. I'm gonna go chairman. That's not like if these flimsy reasons have caused shifts in your business that are this dramatic, and that's okay because all of us are not great leaders in every area, but this should be unacceptable to say to an investor class as to why you went from 222. So like you're in the range of like Salesforce and real tech companies to then fall this far. And how about you pay those employees better? Because there's been some gripes there, and put together a better ad campaign than just leaning on social media. I know omnipresence has been a big thing the last 4 or 5 years, but especially in the beauty space, you have to invest some of that capital to be everywhere because you have fierce competitors all over the world in the beauty space. Like, that's like me saying, like, the weather in Mexico is bad, so that's why the crystal ball is broken. What? What the? What?
Ethereum's price drop is related to aluminum?
No, I just thought that was funny when everyone was like, Ethereum is falling apart because the tariffs on aluminum. Like, and I don't want to get into a war between Bitcoin and Ethereum. The long-term Ethereum is going to do fine. It's going to outpace S&P. I do want to know, where is the Russian kid? It's been very quiet.
Vitalik?
Genius.
Yeah.
Mastermind.
Yeah.
Brilliant. He's been very quiet, though.
Yeah. True.
Yeah.
True.
It's been very quiet. I wonder why.
What's some of your favorite stocks that are subscription-based, like Netflix?
Oh, I thought this was a great question. I've never looked at a category in this fashion to solely base off that. But if we have to pick the big three, going back to that thing, Kendrick Petty. But I would do Netflix first, Troy, to your point.
Mm-hmm.
Amazon second because of Amazon Web Services.
Okay.
And then third, Spotify. Like,
damn. Okay.
Listen, sometimes the big three, like if you could go, who's the greatest basketball players of all time? Yeah. It's gonna be Kobe, Michael Jordan, LeBron. Consensus. Like, I think Netflix, amazing hedge, and as they have increased the pricing and locked down the sharing, revenues went up. Amazon, everyone else for the retail side, but AWS is amazing. But Spotify and the symbiotic relationship that they have with the industry, as the industry owns, I think 28% of it, has done incredibly well. So yeah, those are my three I would pick for a long time. I know that it was the same three.
No. I'm gonna give one because I just always throw an extra just in case. Shopify, I was definitely gonna have one there. Okay.
Shopify is making a good turnaround.
But the one that people don't think about is Apple. Right, like when you talk about services businesses, just the service, forget the iPhone, which we know equates to 48% of the sales. The service business brought in $100 billion last year. So your Apple Music, just that alone. When people think of subscriptions, it's just something that's naturally being paid, right? Like, I'm sure everybody that has an iPhone probably has some type of subscription that they pay in Apple. And so that would be one of those ones when you're not thinking of a service business, something that's generating $100 billion. If you look at the market cap of how many are even doing that as a company, let alone as a sub tier of a company. Yeah, I'm putting Apple in there as well.
Especially when they charge you at 3:00 in the morning, just randomly.
You're not even thinking about it. You stop looking at the emails.
At all.
You know what the sneakiest one is, right? Outside of Apple Music is like the storage one. Like, it's 99 cents for storage.
Storage one is the.
What you gonna do? Not get more storage? All right, $2.99. No, you need more storage. You got a lot of pictures and you're saving a lot of videos and you're doing all this TikTok. Now you need the $9.99 plan. All right, you're gonna do it. You're not even gonna think about it. Yeah. Got you.
Netflix, Amazon, Spotify, Apple, NASA.
That's solid.
That's a good four.
What about Peloton? I'm asking for somebody.
Spiritu Santo. Muerta. Nope.
Got you.
Nope, not Peloton.
Got you.
What do you feel about energy sector in 2025?
I think that the players that have been big in energy are going, like, of course, Chevron, ExxonMobil. Both prices are in stock club. So go to eninvest.com, mid-roll. Go to eninvest.com if you want to know the best prices of where to invest into oil. EQT is pretty interesting. I like this question a lot. I think I won't say that the energy investment tied to AI rally is over, but you're not going to get oversized gains how you did last year in it. EQT is okay, but Chevron, ExxonMobil for sure are going to do great. Back in, 2014, EQT got to 58.18 and then fell apart. It's at 53 now. I'm not looking to invest at that price. If it goes back down to 30 or if it gets back to 17, I wouldn't mind taking a stab at it. But Chevron and Exxon are going to do incredibly well, regardless if it's tied to AI or not. I like having stocks where I don't have to read the news to know if it's going to do well. Like, not one day have I woke up and been like, even when Jensen Sano's breast, I still was like, okay, the company's going to be okay, right? Like, I don't have to worry about what Satya is doing at Microsoft when I work. I never had a panic attack investing into those. So investing in the leaders should be good.
Yeah. I'm going to put in Visha only because I've been talking about it for about 5 months now. And if AI is going to be the story, they'll be at the forefront of it. But again, if you don't want to rely on that, like you're talking about, those traditional ones make a lot of sense. But if you look at the number one company last year in S&P, it was there. It's having a pretty good year so far. I know it's still early. Had a nice pullback during that DeepSeek, that deep fake, we're going to call it, allegedly.
Deepfake scandal.
The deepfake scandal. And it's still over 170. I know it touched 198 early this year. I still see some growth for it. So I'll add that inside the energy companies that we like.
What was your favorite ad of the Super Bowl of any publicly traded company?
Publicly traded company ad. I like that night commercial.
Starbucks, y'all better wake it up. Y'all failing. Sorry.
That Dunkin' Donuts, they took a shot at them. Starbucks doesn't. You don't really see Starbucks commercials. The Nike ad with Doshi narrating, that was dope. But yeah, I think that the T-Mobile joint was fire too. T-Mobile,
yes, I think they did a great job.
What y'all got?
Maybe not from a creative standpoint, but from like a B2B lead generation, inflow, revenue standpoint. Brilliant.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. What y'all got?
I ain't watched the commercials enough to know. I saw Kanye had a commercial. So this commercial.
Yo, again, they didn't air that in New York, bro.
Regional. Oh, for real?
Yeah, some areas of the country did not get the Yeezy. He said he spent all the money on the ad. I said, I wish I had stuff to show, but I spent all the money on my teeth.
You need to spend that money on calling Elon and repair their relationship before he put you on the other side of that blackball list.
No, they deactivated him. Yeah.
Well, he left. I think he left on his own.
Oh, he did? Because then they deactivated his account. It always starts with like, yo, and then it's like, bruh. Oh.
Going kind of far.
Let Murder Inc. live. Rest in peace to Irv Gotti. Too.
Rest in peace to Irv. Renzo.
That was heartbreaking, yo.
Oh man.
Take care of your health. But yeah, Yeezy, he did that collaboration with Sean John. Blackout.
That was my when they asked. That was my favorite clothing line, man. That's Sean John.
Collaboration with Sean John.
He did.
I know Jim said it before, but were y'all wearing Sean John in New York when it came out? Because it was on fire in the Midwest.
I was 100%.
Okay.
100%. You was.
I was going right to River Oaks Mall.
We used to go to the store on Fifth Ave.
Gotcha.
Yeah, the store on Fifth Ave for sure.
Right next to the library.
I wasn't wearing like a heavy amount, but Sean John definitely. They had some good velour suits.
The velour suits was crazy. He had the
back in the day.
Sean John had some stuff.
They had some footwear too. Footwear was all right.
Yeah.
That was a good brand, man.
Yeah, it was a good brand.
For sure. The collab was just the t-shirts though? I didn't see anything else.
Yeah, just t-shirt.
All right.
What's the biggest financial mistake that people should avoid in 2025?
You alluded to it earlier, but I think even like some of the conversations I have on social, I can tell the people who are really locked in and investing. And I know I got a message from a guy yesterday who commented about, Kendrick destroyed your man Drake on the Super Bowl. And his last comment to me in DM was 2021. And I'm like, you joined Stock Club in 2021. Let me see the games. I quit executing. I didn't have time for it. How do you not have time to get rich to take care of your family? Regardless of what y'all think, y'all use that glazing word too heavy. And you got to glaze over that net worth first before you have some of these conversations. But Kendrick and Drake are good. The boy may be a little bit sensitive, but PG Lang and everybody I talk to on VO, they good. Focus on you. Like, eliminate all distractions and focus. Like, my kid just turned 10. Like, I remember what I wore when he was born. We're halfway into the decade. Some of you are going to look up and it's going to be 2028 and you're going to be like, I don't know what I did with 8 years of my life. Lock the fuck in. All of these wars and rap beefs, and that's a distraction from your real life. I don't care what you invest in. Bitcoin, Palantir, jail stool coin, shot the old boy from Barstool getting that meme coin off, Trump coin, and pick an asset class and invest into it in perpetuity. People, how you work so hard? If you're actually a responsible dad, you're going to put in work every day to provide for your family. I don't care what asset class it is, crypto, equities, private equity, real estate, your business, pick something and invest into it forever. And if you're not doing that, I know people love to tell you money is not everything. And those will be the same people when you need something won't give you a fucking dime to help you and your family. Cost of living is going up crazy. People, $11 eggs. Okay. Then the car and jewelry conversation and even buying into startups. All of those costs, the cost for the Super Bowl ad was $8 million. I remember when 2.5 was a big number. In 4 years, they have that number being at $12 million. What? So much so that Starlink and T-Mobile had to partner together, which they already had, for that ad to help drum up. What? So lock in. Lock in. It's the reason why we do the show every week. To give you this information, which other networks don't do. I think we've made investing the easiest for anybody in the world because other networks were not giving you the companies where they were going to fall to and where to exit. So, but for you, for 2025, for both of you, what is the biggest lesson?
The biggest mistake I think that people could make is buying a home that they can't afford, or just buying a home that they're not prepared for. That's the one that nobody
not prepared for the key. Yes.
That's going to hurt you more than anything in life. For sure. Seen it happen. A lot of different places. I just saw Cash Doll on Shannon Sharp's show.
Yes.
That her worst financial decision ever was buying a home, $2 million mansion. I think it was in Atlanta. I'm not sure. So that's a tricky one because you think that you're doing something productive.
Mm-hmm.
You think that you're actually doing something beneficial when you're buying a home. And if you're not, that's how we did that episode with Keanu Watson. You should definitely watch it. Things to know before buying a home.
Yeah.
If you don't fully know what you're getting yourself into, what you think is actually productive is actually extremely harmful for you in your future.
Yeah. There's a lot of hidden costs. There's a lot of hidden costs.
Yeah, definitely go watch that episode. And we speaking from experience, like that's one of the things that we get to actually live these things, learn from these things, and then teach these things. Whereas most people won't even tell you that it happened, and then you'll just see the outcomes of it. So it's like, hey, hold it that. So hopefully you have to go through that. Like we've always lived by that. I think the biggest mistake is, and this goes into investing, this goes in life. Don't let people trick you out of your position.
Yep.
The people that are in your ear, the people that are feeding you information, the people that are doing things, they want to be in your position. And a lot of times, right? And that goes in business, like I said, in investing, right? Let's move the market down. Let's pull the rug if it's crypto to get better positions for bigger people with bigger pockets to get in, invest, and make more money. And when we see it, we leave positions and we say we're never going back. And then we wonder what happened in 2 years. I was invested. So never let anyone trick you out of your position. And I wrote this quote, and it kind of fits what we were talking about earlier. When we talk about like stay hungry and stay like we always hunting, never let your achievements block your vision. Right?
That's a great quote.
Never be satisfied with what's happened. Right? Made a few deals, but there's no parading. Like it's one thing to say it, it's another thing to live it.
To actually live it,
yeah. Those would be mine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you have it.
Because I think as we have a desire to, and that's why I always bring up the bank and the crypto point. If 3 years ago I would have told you that the White House would have a crypto czar, you would have called me crazy. Kudos to Sachs for making that move and on an entrepreneurship level. But we just saw an entire retail community of crypto advocates get tricked out of their spot by the banking elite. In 1 year, I never thought, like, I knew the little, takeover was going to happen with JP Morgan. I didn't think at scale that this would happen. Stay locked in. Stay locked in. But what do I know? You don't know nothing about crypto. I knew that part. I knew 20K.
And we've been here for it all. It's crazy. Like, we've been here when it was at 20. We was here when it was 16. So, like, people who took advantage of that information and actually was like, all right, what they're saying kind of makes sense, or here comes a pullback, this might be a good time to invest. Like, the people who took advantage of that, oh my God, like, they're out of here. You're out of here.
I'll ask you guys, have you met one billionaire who came to you and said, I can't wait to sell off these group of assets?
Never.
And they do it in the contract in perpetuity. Shout out to all the talent side for those who sign talent contracts. You got to look for those terms in perpetuity.
That means
that is a whole time frame.
Forever.
So
one of those words you better look for in your contract. That goes for everybody. If you see that word, make sure that you have your.
Unless I'm giving them to you, it's okay. About to be my new move in perpetuity. All derivative works, and then okay. So,
keyword to look for.
And real quick, in trading, Troy King and Rashad, can you give 3 tips? This reminds me of our conversation with Shans. What are 3 tips you can give to traders in 2025 who are looking to make a lot of money, but it's their first year investing in the market?
Number 1, create your plan. Know your exit strategy before you ever enter a position. Number 2, surround yourself with mentorship or like-minded people who are also investing or at beginning stages of investing, so you can learn lessons quick and your education can be expedited. And number 3, execute, please. Right? Like, after you have the first 2, now you actually have to start. And a lot of times we see people over and I'm gonna start tomorrow. Or I've been watching y'all for 2 years, but I'm about to open my brokerage account. Why haven't you done it already? Those are my quick 3.
Yeah, for sure. But we have our guests. We got a guest for you guys before we wrap the program. None other than John Hope Bryant. Let's bring him up if we can.
Friend of the show.
How you doing?
Hey,
good day, sir.
Brother, how you doing?
Happy 2025.
Happy 2025.
Happy 2025.
Yeah, likewise.
For people that don't know, John, entrepreneur, philanthropist, financial literacy advocate, founder of Operation Hope, is the owner. His company owns over, I think, 663 single family residential homes in America. Just had the conference where he had the head of all the major sports leagues. Go on and on, but very accomplished gentleman when it comes to business, real estate, investing, financial literacy. A voice. He spoke at InvestFest 2 years ago. So first and foremost, thank you for joining us.
Yeah,
my honor to be with you. I was just with your dude Robert F. Smith in Poland 2 weeks ago, and I commend what you guys are doing and what you're building. You really mainstreamed this financial literacy topic for the masses and not just the classes. So I commend you.
Appreciate that. I like that.
So talking about wealth building, financial literacy, you said before, nothing changes your life more than God or love than moving your credit score 100 points. God, love, and moving your credit score 100 points. So can you explain why moving your credit score 100 points is so important? Because most people wouldn't think that 100 points in the credit score is going to be equal to finding God or your wife.
I mean, look, I'll go further than that. If the Vice President Harris had listened to what you're saying and what I'm saying more intently, she'd be president. because that election was ultimately not about red or blue or black or white. It was about green. It was about everybody cutting an economic deal. Whether that deal is going to work out or not, we're about to find out. But everybody basically cut a deal, that says, I'm going to do better. You've told me I'm going to do better economically, not morally, not ethically, not societally, not environmentally, not human rights, not civil rights, economically. We live in a capitalist democracy. People forget this. They don't remember this. We live in a free enterprise democracy on a good day. We live in a capitalist democracy on a rough day. But it is unfortunately true that going back to the time of Jesus, we had a choice to make. We could have put our we could have put our economy inside of our culture, which is what we should have done. But actually we put our culture inside of our economy. So almost everything is economic in nature. You can't run a church without money. You need tithe and offering. In fact, one of the biggest churches in the world, one of the biggest banks in the world is the Vatican Church, the Vatican Bank. So answering your question, and I've said this as a joke, but I'm serious. You go to the club, today's Monday, you go to the club on Friday, after you worked all week, oh man, she's fine. The lady's like, oh, he's handsome. What's your name? And then what's your credit score? Because that's your business partner for life. The looks are going to fade. The rear end is going, and the breast is going to drop, right? The dude's going to get the big chest going to turn into a big belly at some point. But after 20 or 30 years, that's still your business partner. And those who marry well do the best economically as a side point. But marriage was ultimately even an economic. Before God endowed marriage with spiritual principles, marriage was present 3,000 years before that as a business principle. Yeah. So, I mean, slavery was about money. Nobody brought us 3,000, 6,000 miles away from home, went all through all that trouble because they didn't like us. They did it because we were geniuses of the land. We could take dead soil and bring it back to life. Well, what's the southern soil, which is where all the cotton was, the tobacco, all the gold crops of that time. It was in the southern soil. It was very hot, very humid, whether it's here or the Caribbean. And poor white folks couldn't work it. They're like, oh, we good. We can't handle this. And so they went and found somebody who could not only handle it, but who could take dead soil and bring it back to life, the genius of agricultural excellence, which is what we were in that era. So whatever conversation you want to have, it comes down to money. What's the number one cause of divorce? Money. What's the number one cause of domestic abuse? Money. What's the number one cause for stress? Heart attacks, I'm sorry. Stress. What's the number one cause for stress? Money. What's behind politics? Money. I mean, whatever conversation you want to have comes back to that. So in a world, you've never had now I'm about to drop the mic on your question because you're like, people are like, this guy's rambling. This has to do with my question about credit scores. There's never been a global economy there wasn't never been a superpower that wasn't the economic power at the same time in the history of the world. There's never been a major economy, including the US, or a major city like the city of Atlanta, where I'm at now, that didn't do it on the back of good debt and a great credit rating. I was on the phone with Tony Ressler this morning, who's, I don't want to tell his net worth, but it's public information. He's like the 200th richest man in the world. He did it on the back of good debt. No billionaire has become a billionaire except through good debt. No multimillionaire times whatever has done it without good debt. So if your credit score is toe up from the flow up, those who make the least pay the most. If you're in a 500 credit score neighborhood, I mean, the only way to survive that neighborhood is to be in an illegal economy business, because the cost of debt is so high, the cost of credit is so high from Pookie and them and JoJo and them, that you're paying such a high rate. The only way to profit is to do some illegal stuff, right? The underground economy. So you have a check casher next to a payday loan lender next to a rent-to-own store next to a title lender next to a liquor store next to a pawn shop, fast food restaurants, all preying on financial illiteracy, 500 credit score neighborhoods. And you live to 61 years of age as a sort of the insult on top of insult. You live in that neighborhood at 61. 15 minutes away, you live to 81 years old, 20-year difference. And that's a 700 credit score neighborhood. 500 credit score neighborhood, you live to 61. Crime, murder, mayhem, drugs, depression, single parent household. So I over-answered your question, but it was like the question. Like, we have got to get our credit right. The number one lowest credit rating in America group are African Americans. It's like I think it's like
what's the average credit score for African Americans?
I think it's like 620. Now, that sounds like not so bad, but that means that you dudes have a 780 or 800 credit score, and our cousins, JoJo and them, have a 520 or a 480 credit score. And the balance out. The average is that our great credit score combined around all of our friends' toe-up credit score averages out to 620. So it actually sounds better than it really is. It's actually much worse, unfortunately. And the number one cause of folks, number one group being declined for credit, Black people. Lowest credit score, Black people. One of the biggest economies in the world is, bigger than, you guys talk about this all the time. Our consumer spending is 1.7 to 1.8 trillion, as big as Mexico and Canada, but 92% of that's consumption. Okay. So you just combine all these, and our home ownership rate is 41 to 44%, compared to 75% of our white counterparts. Well, the number one way you build wealth is home ownership. Again, this ain't complicated. Then you say, well, what's our net worth in 2053? You combine all these things, zero.
Yeah.
I mean, so you don't need racists to come after you anymore. You don't have to worry about the Klan. You don't have to worry about, what the man's doing to you. What did Malcolm X say? We've been bamboozled. We've been tricked. We've been fooled. We've been hoodwinked, right? So, but this is stuff one thing I love about credit scores, you can fix it yourself. That's what I love about it. It's self-empowerment at its height. And you do that, and once you have an 800 credit score, you're not Black anymore, you're green. That computer says yes at midnight, whatever you want.
Yeah, it's important. The education around it's important. And we just went over credit. Shout out to Shonda Martin for everybody into it, and make sure y'all catch that. But let's get back to JoJo and Pookie and them, right? In order for them to get their credit score and actually have income, they have to have jobs. And I know something that you've stressed over the years is entrepreneurship over employment. Now, I can understand that because I've been on both sides of it, right? But for somebody who's trying to transition in this era, right, where AI is prevalent, where we're seeing people lose jobs and cutbacks are happening, what advice do you have for somebody that's trying to make that transition to say, I want to create a business. I understand the economics of not having a business for my future. How do I get started?
Well, for the first time ever, Black folks actually have an advantage. We've been doing so much with so little for so long. We can almost do anything with nothing. And we're so used to hustle and being beat upon and disrespected and looked over, that we've taken it as that's like waking up in the morning for us. Most people are offended by the current moment. We're used to it. So we're natural hustlers. What I would say is take that natural hustle and move it from just cashing a check to a mindset of writing a check. So I as you guys know, I've written several books. There's one now that's a bestseller called Financial Literacy for All. The book before that was called Up From Nothing. That's the book and the book before that was called The Memo. Those are two books that you should read on this topic, because it's first thing I get is got to get your mindset right? Because an entrepreneur works 18 hours a day to keep from getting a job. You guys are always hustling. You're always working. You're always on. If you try to do this from 9 to 5, you'd be a failure, right? So you gotta get your mindset right that you're working for yourself, right? And it's not about the dollar. Like this whole thing about getting that dollar, getting that bag, getting that cash. It's a distraction. It's a lie. Ignore it. You want to build wealth in your brand, wealth in your reputation, wealth in your name. So people say, okay, John, I hear all that philosophy, but answer his question. Like, well, I'm trying to answer the question, because if you don't get this right, poverty isn't here. Beyond sustenance poverty, roof over your head, food on the table, reasonable health care, all other forms of poverty are mindsets, which is why I love what you guys are doing by trying to get our mindset on open the door, a new form of affirmative action, open the door, I'll get it myself. So once you get your mindset right, then you start looking at things that are right in front of you. What's a source of capital when you don't have any? Earned income tax credit. What's that? If you make $60,000 a year and you're listening or watching this program, and you make 60 grand a year or less, and you never heard of EITC, congratulations, these guys just gave you some capital. If you make $38,000 a year, you're in a small town in Columbus, Georgia, or wherever you live, and you have 3 children, the government owes you a check for about $7,500. If you don't know what EITC is, you never file for it, and most people make less than $50,000, don't have a tax pro, by the way, so they wouldn't know this, then it's retroactive for 3 years. My math, that's about 20 grand, give or take. 20 grand, and there's no limitation on what you use that money for. So 20 grand, if you make 38 grand, is more capital than you'll ever see in one time and you have ever seen in your entire life. Now, you can go partying, which I don't suggest you do. You can go on vacations, or you can take that, pay down your credit cards. So that gives you more limit on the credit cards to use that for your business. I started my first business on credit cards. Or buy a house, down payment. There becomes a wealth creation mechanism and a function in 3 or 4 years of pulling a home equity line out to finance a business, or literally use that capital for your business. So here's 10 grand, set aside 5-10 grand for a rainy day, use 10-15 grand as a capital formation, maybe even put that up to get a matching line of credit from a bank. So that's just one example. And there's city EITC, there's state EITC in many places. But of course, I'm talking about federal EITC. There's like $20 billion a year, last time I checked, never gets claimed by our people for earned income tax credit. 1 out of 4 people who qualify for EITC never asked for it. I also used credit cards when I was coming up to start and finance my first businesses. I went to Pep Boys. Does Pep Boys still exist?
Yep.
I think so.
I went to Pep Boys for my automotive. I went to Sears, that doesn't exist anymore, for my suits and my business equipment. I went to Radio Shack, doesn't exist anymore, for my first computers. I had credit cards that I would use, and I'd manage those minimums, right, to make sure my credit score didn't get all jacked up. I had a Montero Jeep I leased. I didn't buy it. I leased it because it was an easier payment for a business purpose. Hope we cover that, payments versus interest rates. But and I ultimately they chased me on that Montero Jeep because I defaulted on the lease, didn't pay it, and I was homeless living in the back of it when they were looking for it. But ultimately, when I did well, I paid them back and didn't have to file bankruptcy. So even I had struggles, and I was homeless economically. And now, we now know what the reality is. So anybody can go from the bottom to the top. And I did it with pure hustle because I didn't have my mom worked an hourly job at McDonald Aircraft, even though she passed away with $1 million net worth and 800 credit score. But I didn't have a inheritance, and my dad was a businessman, but essentially illiterate, so he died broke. I took care of him. So I literally had to start with nothing. EITC, my financial coaches at Operation Hope, by the way, can help people with this. I'll give everybody listening to this program a $1,000 coaching scholarship to get their credit score up, their debt down, their savings up, and access things like EITC and other programs. And your city, like here in Atlanta, Invest Atlanta does investment grants, actually, for small businesses. Grants, which is almost unheard of. Let me stop. I can talk about this forever, but I want to.
I love the post you had up last week. I have a question for you. What's the blueprint for us building our own table so we don't have to ask for seats at others that may not want us there?
An excellent question. Look, this is the most disruptive. This is the most disruptive time in modern history. I'll let that sink in for a minute. I used to call this the third Reconstruction. Now it's the third Reconstruction on steroids. The first Reconstruction was after the Civil War, freedom. Second Reconstruction, Civil Rights Movement, access. Third Reconstruction, George Floyd's murder, the pandemic, 2020 to 2030. And I just figured it was opportunity for all. And after every Reconstruction, within 2 years, we get freedom high. We get happy because we had opportunity. And the other people are like, oh, heck no. And they start knocking it back. It's happened every time, so this is no surprise. But now you have artificial intelligence, technology titans who are the new industrialists of the 20th century, are technology titans today. Then you got on top of that artificial intelligence, which actually, while changing everything and destroying 75 million jobs, will create 88 million jobs, and will destroying anybody who's lazy with a high school education has got a real problem, because that job at Taco Bell or McDonald's or CVS is gone. The grocery store job where you had the attitude and you didn't want to serve. What you want? I want my service. That person's gone because artificial intelligence is going to take it out. It's taking it out right now, right? You go right now and there's a little tablet that you place in. You're doing self-service. That's all robotics, AI, automation in real time. So the good news about AI, to quote Van Jones, is that while 99% of black people don't know nothing about AI, 99% of white people don't know nothing about AI either. So we're all starting at the same disruptive place. And while it would destroy our jobs, if you're an accountant, half of those jobs gone, maybe all those jobs gone, as we know it. If you're a lawyer, half of those jobs are gone. Mortgage processor, banking industry, all that's going to be disrupted and changed. All these documents we have to sign. When I bought those almost 700 homes you talked about, I literally had to sign 700 stacks of paper, one by one. That's all gone. I mean, the next couple of 3 years, you won't recognize the world we live in by 2030. So it's going to be incredibly, and this is the stuff and then you got what's going on in Washington. I haven't even mentioned the obvious, right? The complete destruction and disruption. By the way, all of which won't be bad. I mean, there's some stuff that was actually broken in Washington. I don't like the way they're going about it. But whatever they buy, when you break it, you buy it. So the dog is called the ice cream truck. The president now has everything he complained about in his grasp. So if he screws it up, it's his, he owns it. The sum total of his question, though, is this is the most disruptive, transformational, from DEI to DIY period in modern world history. DI, do it yourself. So Ambassador Young had once told me, he was on that balcony with Dr. King. He told me 10 years ago, don't take your eye off economic empowerment and financial literacy. Because if ever politics fall away, civil rights fall away, social justice falls away, and he said, quote, I don't think it will. But if it does, all you're going to have all black people will have is economic strength. And so I wanted to create plumbing for us, which is what you guys are also doing in different ways. And now what used to be on the periphery is right at the center. So financial literacy is now the civil rights issue of this generation. It's as important as the right to vote. That's why I thought the credit score piece question was, again, other than God or love, there's nothing more important than. So you got to get your mind right. You got to figure out whether you want to be an entrepreneur or whether you want to work for somebody. Even work for somebody, then you have to recast your skills to the new era, which is, if technology is at the center of if not at the center of your world, you're screwed. You're not standing still. You're going backwards. Yeah. It's not about love or hate anymore. It's about radical indifference. People don't care enough about you to hate you anymore. That's the new norm. Private schools, private roads, private planes, private transportation, private security, private healthcare. Now, see that? See, we didn't rehearse this, right? Yeah. It just jumps out at you once you say it. Once you mouth it, it becomes incredibly obvious. And these capitalism is a gladiator sport. Like, it's not emotional. It's not personal. You can make it moral. I try to be a good capitalist. In my businesses, I've directed $4.5 billion of capital in our neighborhoods. I try to do it in a way that makes me feel like I can go to bed at night. But some people aren't religious or spiritual, and they got to take it from you to add to their balance sheet. So be it. And that's between them and God at some point. But in the meantime, you're hurt. So what we've got to have is a Black Jewish business plan. I was in Poland 2 weeks ago, as I just mentioned, and the Holocaust, when you really fold that back, it was economic. They took the Jews from their homes. What did they do with the homes? The German Nazis took them. They took their stocks. They took their bonds. They took their paintings. They took the gold teeth out of their mouth. I probably shouldn't say this on your program. It's really disgusting. They took the hair, turned it into rugs, and sold it. They took the skin and turned it into lampshades and sold it. I mean, they monetized everything. So we focus on the horror, which is horrible. But underneath that was an economic agenda. What was slavery? That was economic, first and foremost. But we focus on the horror of it all. So we've got to stop being surprised by people who are just about themselves. And we've got to get a non-emotional business plan. And I think we need one in the next, I call it civil rights, from civil rights to civil rights, sitting on the platform of the third Reconstruction. Don't be surprised, people coming at you. I just mentioned that it happens after every Reconstruction. Don't react, respond. Don't react, emotional, respond. We need a business plan. And
if I can follow up, what would that plan be?
Basic stuff. I was about to use another word, but I realized I'm on radio. I'm on your podcast. It was a French word. You know what I was about to say.
Yes.
Basic stuff. I mean, my mother passed away at 2 years ago, September, 89 years of age, high school education, 850 credit score, $1 million net worth. She had a will. She worked 32 years at McDonald's aircraft, $18 an hour, $15 to $18 an hour. So nothing genius here. She had a will. She had a life insurance policy. So anybody watching this, you're 25, 28 years of age. A life insurance policy for you for $100,000. First of all, there's a $25,000 policy inside of your health plan that you don't even know about if you work for a company of any size. People need to know this. Why are we doing GoFundMe campaigns to bury somebody? It's embarrassing. We should be doing that to start a business. There's 25 grand. If your health policy in the details, financial literacy, there's a death policy in 90% of these plans that give you 25 grand to bury somebody. I know because I have to do that for my employees when somebody dies in our 400 group family of employees. And I make sure people know about that. But beyond that, $100,000 policy would cost you a term policy, $10, $20 maximum a month. You spend that on Starbucks. A $1 million policy, if you're young and in good health, is at most $100 a month, maybe even 50. If you pass away, and you will, you don't know how long you're gonna die. You don't know how long you're gonna live. You're sure the hell gonna die. That's generational wealth. So when you pass away, you direct through your will that life insurance proceeds of $1 million is going to go to Joe, Jack, Schmo, your husband, your wife, your kids, and you want them to. You can even direct what you want them to do with it. By the way. You can direct purposes for it. So if you don't have any capital, that's one way of creating it. We need a life policy. We need a will. Everybody has to become a homeowner. Stop trying to rent from folks who don't want you in places that don't accept you with money you don't have to impress people you don't know about shit that don't matter. Okay, I used the French word anyway. Go buy downtown versus renting uptown. If you're in Atlanta, to heck with Buckhead, God bless him. From Midtown Atlanta, where Centennial Yards is, where I'm an investor, south to the airport, read Black and Brown people, that's a gold mine. It's a gold mine. Buy everything up there. Buy it, rehab it, rent it, do not sell. Buy it, rehab it, live in it. Because do not sell. Property values will do nothing but go up. So you're in LA, South Central LA. South Central, anybody know South Central? It's been moving, the definition of South Central has been moving west for 20 years, right?
Yeah.
It was the if you know LA, it was a 40, it was Vermont, Normandy. Yeah, it was 4. I think it was not 405. It was a 110, right? That was South Central. Then when other folks moved in, then it moved. Then it became over Crenshaw, La Brea, La Cienega, right? That's South Central LA. Well, however you want to define it, it's centrally located real estate near freeways. Now, anybody listening to this, wherever you live, think about this now. Near freeways, near transportation, near ports, harbors, jobs, economic activity, the beach, waterways. That's centrally located real estate. An inner city in Europe is called Paris. It's called London. And they put poor people in the suburbs. They figured this stuff out. Let them travel. Racism was so bad here. These people were so ignorant. They gave us the most valuable real estate, and they moved 2 hours outside of town. But now traffic's so bad, they're moving back. The kids who don't mind hanging around us are moving back and owning our own real estate. So it's not too late. Every inner city in America is a gold mine. So home ownership, what do we say? We call it a will, a life insurance policy, term if not whole. Start a part-time hustle. Make sure you're 9 to 5. Finances you're 5 to 9. So start a part-time hustle, but keep your day job, because until you make sure the new shoes fit, don't give up your old ones, because that has a lot of economic benefits you're not recognizing, because entrepreneurship is very expensive, right?
Yes.
Open a stock account. This is some of you guys. This is Market Mondays. When you buy a stock, do something that's normal. Don't do this fancy stuff. Stop using your written money on cryptocurrency. If you want to use cryptocurrency is basically gambling. There's nothing wrong with it. My wife has got Bitcoin. She's done incredibly well to it. But if she doesn't do well, she's got me, right? Stop using the number one investor in the 10,000 cryptocurrencies that went bust were Black people. Invest in blockchain. Now that's brilliant, right? This other stuff is like a gym membership. It's like a digital gym membership. If you use it and it's sexy, it's promoted, it's valuable. But there's no asset value underneath it holding it together. Tony Ressler, I keep citing Tony, but I love Tony. He was at a milking conference, and somebody asked him 2-3 years ago, will you invest in crypto? And he said, well, I'm putting Bitcoin aside for a moment, because that's actually done pretty well. He said, if somebody can tell me why the value goes up and why the value goes down, I'll buy some. Of course, it was crickets in the room, because there's nothing tied to why it goes up and go down. Well, so all these billionaires and centimillionaires, they're doing basic stuff. This is what I'm talking about here, right? Yeah. So now we got down to stocks. What do you wear? Where do you shop? Do you go to Walmart? Do you go to Target? Do you go to McDonald's? Do you go to Starbucks? Do you have a Keurig machine at home like I do? What kind of clothes do you wear? Do you wear Under Armour? That's what you buy. Do you like Nikes? Don't make it complicated. If you like it, your friends probably like it. So just start there. And if you can't get a whole stock account, do fractional investing. I'm sure you guys have covered that, but you basically for $25 or 25 cents, if you like, you can buy a fraction of any stock in the world. So let's stop with the excuses. Let's stop with being angry, because that's not a strategy. You're just wasting time. Wealthy people talk about ideas. Poor people talk about other people. Right? So let's stop wasting all of our social media time talking about celebrities and hip hop artists and all this stuff.
Thank you.
And athlete, wasting all of the most precious you have is your time. You can waste my money. You cannot waste my time. Only I can waste my time. I'm ruthless about my time. So stock portfolio, real estate, home ownership. And then once you buy your home, use the equity in 3 years to buy a duplex, triplex, or just another home in the hood adjacent, the worst house on the best block in the hood. Buy it, rehab it, and rent it. You do that 3 times, you'll be a millionaire in 5 years. So I over-answered your question. You said, how do we create a basic business plan? I just told you how to build wealth, become a millionaire in 5 years. And none of that I just told you is complicated. Now we can build on that and make it more elegant and more sophisticated But we got to get the basics right. And everybody needs to be obsessed with financial literacy. Obsessed. Because it dictates your entire life. You can't even watch this show without private assets. The government didn't give you an iPhone. The government didn't give you an Android phone. The government didn't give you a computer screen. You can't go to sleep. The government didn't give you the pillow. The government didn't give you your sheets. The government's not paying your light bill in most places. You did that. The government's not paying your car note or gas. Like, it's all around us. It's everywhere. But we want to spend the money. We don't want to, I don't want to deal with that. Sports business, the business of sports. Music business, the business of music.
Mm-hmm.
And music was created by the mafia. So
talk about it in tandem with gambling. Yes.
So, and if you think you're gonna make money, you think you're gonna build, I don't need to do this. I'm gonna go to Las Vegas. I'm gonna get rich. Really? Las Vegas keeps getting bigger. What do you think? It's been getting bigger since the mafia created it. You think it's an accident? The house always wins. So do stuff you can control. Get your credit score right. Pick a good mate. Get the noise out of your life, to get the toxicity out of your life. Because if you hang around 9 broke people, you're going to be the 10th. And then do these basic things we talked about. And once you do that, what's going to happen is the good idea spawns another good idea. One good action creates an offset. You buy that house, now you've hired a landscaper, a painter. You've hired a housekeeper, or you've hired, now you're doing economic development in your own neighborhood. Now you got control of who you hire. Hire somebody who looks like you. And your whole mindset's going to change.
That's a fact. Well, the offer that you had?
Operation Hope is the largest Black male founded community-based nonprofit in Black male run in American history. 4.5 billion invested. The largest financial coach, 1,500 offices in 42 states, $75 million annual budget. I'm trying to hit 100 million this year, just on that organization. Most of it's, by the way, from the private sector. And I want us to become the Starbucks of financial inclusion. I want to become the America's financial coach. I want us to be like every place you go, there we are. And so we're the coach for all Delta employees, 100,000 Delta employees, and we're the coach for UPS employees, and so on and so forth. The Venetian Hotel employees in Las Vegas, oddly enough. And I want our people to have an entry point. So I'm going to offer through you 2 things. I'm going to give you everybody watching your program gets $1,000. They just call and they just mention you, Earn Your Leisure, $1,000 coaching scholarship. For a year, and we're going to get your credit score up, your debt down, your savings up. We're getting credit scores up 54 points, debt down $3,800, savings up $1,200, and in the course of 6 to 12 months. Number 2, I'm going to give you 5 $5,000 scholarships, which is we go into much more detail. We negotiate with your creditors, all that stuff through you guys. You guys decide who that is. I'm going to give you 5 $25,000 in-kind scholarships for Shopify and our partnership for 1MBB, 1 in Million Black Business Initiative, where we committed to create 1 million Black businesses by 2030. And we're already at 450,000 Black businesses started, created, nurtured since George Floyd's murder. Each one of these grants is worth $25,000. Shopify, free account, website, domain name, payment systems, delivery systems, business plan from Operation Hope, credit counseling. I just mentioned all that stuff. Free accountant for 2 years, for 2 hours, free attorney for 2 hours, free business manager for business marketer for 2 hours, a SWAT team around you. That's worth $25,000. So 5, and free. So the $1,000 scholarships, and then you guys decide who get the 5 and the 5 on the 5,000 and 25,000. That's what I love about this. This is Black men talking to Black men. Mm-hmm. We didn't need anybody else. We didn't have to go to anybody else, ask them to do that. I'm on your platform because you've got reach. You got an audience. Kudos to you on that. You're building a media platform, which hopefully has publishing rights that you own on the back end, by the way, because you're just like Michael Jackson. He had his masters, and so do you. You own your masters. And I am a self-made entrepreneur. and I can give you the whatever this value was, and I just offered $1,000 for as many scholarships as they want, and 5 times 5,000 and 5 times 25,000. I did that because I'm the founder, chairman, CEO, and I'm the boss. That's what we want. That's why I like the color is green. I don't want to beg you for anything. It's a James Brown version of affirmative action. Open the door, I'll get it my damn self. And that's what we have got to do in the next 5 years. Because this is about to become, buckle up, it's about to get really bumpy.
Absolutely.
What you guys were doing, which was nice 5 years ago, is like breathing right now.
That's a fact.
Essential.
That's a fact.
Essential workers.
Nah, we'll appreciate it. Appreciate it. Definitely. Thank you for being generous. And we'll work on that. We'll get those names to you for the $1,000 scholarship. What should they? Is there like a link or a number in the call?
Yeah, Hope in Hand app is you can download it on the Android or Apple phones. The Hope in Hand app. They just when they're signing up, say that I qualify for the $1,000 scholarship from Earn Your Leisure. Or to operationhope.org. Of course, old-fashioned way, they just call the toll-free number. It's on our website.
There
You
have it. Can't ask for more than that. So once again, I know you're a busy person, so thank you for taking the time out of your schedule, and keep up the great work.
No, God bless you guys, man. Keep doing what you're doing. We're sitting in a moment in history, but history does not feel historic when you're sitting in it. It just feels like another day. But that does not mean the moment is not historic. So keep doing your great work. The world needs you.
Appreciate you, man. Thank you.
Thank you. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Christmas has come early.
No,
Somebody got to do it.
For real.
From bosses to bosses. I love it.
That's what it's about.
That's what it's about. Ladies and gentlemen, you gotta help each other. Okay. Well, that was another episode of Market Mondays.
Oh man.
Yeah, for sure. Make sure you guys check out Blackout on Wednesday, and then Thursday at 6 we got the episode with the owner Say Less. And we'll figure out how we're gonna pick these 10 people actually, because it's 5 and 5.
Yep.
So we'll figure that out amongst ourselves, and we'll be letting you guys know. Maybe next episode we'll let you guys know.
That'd be great.
What the deal is with that.
And if you don't have your Valentine's Day plans, even though Shotty said Valentine's Day dead, Say Less may not be a bad. Get there early. Wallow and Timber walk in there, you know,
Valentine's Day special.
Michael Porter Jr. or somebody. Hey, get there early.
Do as I say, not as I do.
Hello.
Peekaboo.
Shout out to Keys.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm
New York City.
It was my baby's birthday. Y'all had the black greats in the ooh.
Yeah.
Put on a show.
Jaylen Brown pulled up. Shout out to Jaylen.
Fact.
Man, Mike Rashid was in the building. AJ McQueen, Smath Hopper.
That's fact.
It's a lot of
he texted me,
Acre Boys. It was a lot of people in there, man. Shout out to everybody that came out for that.
Yeah, it was dope.
I'm doing drip report like I'm not looking at the camera Drake move.
Those are candidates. Ian. Somebody got to do it. Somebody got to do it.
All right, yeah. It's been real.
All right, y'all. Be good to each other.
We got to find out who getting fired, yo. We got to make some changes. Now sack 4 times, no blitz.
6.
Who Patrick Mahomes sound like?
Kermit the Frog.
Next season, boy. Look, not that he needed more motivation.
Yeah.
Next season, they'll be. I mean,
be back.
It's gonna be tough.
They got Rice coming back at wide receiver.
Be back.
DeAndre probably leaves, but he's a little bit older.
Never count out the Chiefs.
Pacheco, where you at, my boy? Zaire, we gotta have a conversation again about Pacheco's value. I told you.
Pacheco, yeah. I mean, yeah. It was a beatdown.
Yeah.
All right, y'all. It's been real.
Y'all be good to each other, man.
Love.
Show love. Peace. See y'all Wednesday.